In rap, relationship drama can go beyond messy breakups. In fact, some end in criminal cases.
Your attorney has advised the court that you wish to enter a plea of guilty to that charge. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Or disturbing scandals,
22-year-old rising star Aaliyah has been killed in a horrific plane crash.
leading to the question, how far is too far?
When you can't go to the mob for being spit on and being called, you disgusting pig, it's sad.
Are these disturbing couples a product of the industry? And how did things get so bad? My name is Rashad Bashir, and this is Rap's Most Disturbing Relationships. And if we're talking about the most toxic and disturbing relationships in rap, we can't forget the Cardi B and Offset tandem. See, despite Cardi giving Offset several kids, she couldn't keep him from constantly disrespecting her in the worst ways possible. So what exactly happened? Well, it all kicked off in February of 2017 when they officially went out together for the first time. Interestingly, the two had actually met back in 2016, but this was their first proper hangout. And it seemed to have gone extremely well, as by August of the same year, rumors were already circulating that the two were engaged. Cardi tried to deny it at first, but these rumors weren't entirely baseless. You see, just a month later, Cardi B and Offset secretly tied the knot. However, their marriage was such a low-key event that fans didn't even know it happened until nearly a year later, when TMZ suddenly exposed their marriage certificate, which really upset Cardi. However, at the time, she and Offset were constantly breaking up and making up. There was a lot of fighting, volatility, but despite that, they were in love and didn't want to lose each other. As Cardi B wrote, "I appreciate and love my husband so much for still wanting for me to have that special moment that every girl dreams of when he got down on his knee and put a ring on my finger, and he did that for me." But what should have been a pleasant honeymoon phase quickly turned into something messy. You see, unfortunately, the cracks started to show early in the relationship. As just a month after their secret wedding, fans are totally shocked when Cardi took to social media and posted a selfie with the word single. Cardi later walked back her statement, admitting, "So listen babes, I exaggerated a little bit earlier because I was really upset and the Bronx girl in me will always have to go to the extreme. I came to my senses now, I'm sorry." According to her, it was because Offset allegedly stole her purple blanket. However, this was just the start of a very messy series of events regarding the couple. See, by early 2018, a massive crisis hit the marriage. Offset's iCloud was hacked, and a video surfaced allegedly showing him cheating on Cardi B with another woman back in September, which was the month they very secretly got married. Understandably, fans got mad at Offset. However, what really got people confused was that Cardi decided to stay with them even after the cheating allegations. But for her, she handled it in her own way, explaining, "Well, if people are talking about it and keep asking me how I feel about the situation, why not let them know? Right or wrong? No, it's not right for a guy to cheat. But what do you want me to do? Go mess with another man? Start all over again and get cheated on again? This stuff happens to everyone, and it could be you too. People handle their relationship different." It was a painfully honest response. A lot of her fans didn't want her to get back with Offset, and rightfully so. However, Cardi was choosing to look past the cheating because by April of 2018, she was already pregnant with her first child. But she wouldn't let Offset cheating on her go completely unpunished. You see, on Saturday Night Live, Cardi made a bold move by showing her pregnancy to the public. In a shocking twist, she performed while visibly showing off her baby bump. However, there was a catch. See, the irony was that she performed Be Careful, a song mainly about cheating. However, even after all the cheating scandals, the couple seemed happy together. They welcomed their first baby girl, Culture, in September of that year, and Cardi would even share a never-before-seen photo of their secret wedding. And at that moment, it seemed like nothing could go wrong for them. Unfortunately, things were very different behind the scenes. For the second time, Cardi would state that she and Offset had broken up, but this time, she didn't take back what she said. Instead, she confirmed all of it on Instagram.
"We're not together anymore. I don't know, it might take time to get a divorce, and I'm gonna always have a lot of love for him because he is my daughter's father, and yeah."
But what's surprising was that throughout her explanation, Cardi had a calm demeanor. In fact, she'd even praised Offset for the time they shared together.
"So everybody been bugging me and everything, and I've been trying to work things out with my baby father for a hot minute now, and we're really good friends, and we're really good business partners."
Unfortunately though, Cardi revealed that the breakup was long overdue.
"Things just haven't been working out between us for a long time, and it's nobody's fault. It's just like, I guess we grew out of love."
Sadly, this confession made it clear that whatever happiness fans had hoped for wasn't real. So what exactly happened? Did Offset cheat on her again? Well, Offset responded first on Twitter, emotionally writing, "Fuck y'all, I miss Cardi." Then, days later, he publicly apologized, admitting to be a bad husband and begging for forgiveness.
I only got one birthday wish, and that's to get my wife back, Cardi. You know what I'm saying? We're going through a lot of things right now, a lot of things on the media. I want to apologize to you, Cardi. I embarrassed you.
Clearly looking defeated, Offset knew he had messed up badly.
Doing things I ain't had no business. I was partaking in activity that I shouldn't have been taking in. And I apologize, you know what I'm saying?
He also begged Cardi to let him see his daughter.
"I apologize to you, Cardi. I love you and Culture. I want to spend Christmas with you. I want to be able to spend the rest of my life with you. I apologize. I'm sorry for what I've done to you.
However, in this apology, Offset would confirm that the breakup was rooted in him cheating.
I didn't f that girl, but I was entertaining it. You know what I'm saying? I apologize. And I love you. I hope you can forgive me.
But that didn't work. So Offset would continue to work hard to get his ex-wife back. See, Offset was far from done, and at Rolling Loud's festival in December of 2018, he crashed Cardi's set, bringing flowers on stage spelling out "Take Me Back, Cardi," in front of thousands of fans and cameras. Unfortunately, Cardi didn't seem impressed. In fact, she'd even rant about it on Instagram.
I just feel bad. I feel bad. This is why I don't like surprises, because my reaction is just always what I'm gonna give ya.
And while some fans thought it was a romantic gesture, others accused Offset of harassment, publicly ambushing his ex-wife to pressure her into taking him back. Fortunately for Offset, his efforts weren't wasted. Cardi confirmed that they were trying to work things out again. In an interview with Vogue, she said, "I believe in forgiveness. I prayed on it. Me and my husband, we prayed on it. It's really us against the world. He has my back for everything. I have his back for everything." So when you cheat, you're portraying the person that has your back the most. Why would you do that? And she also sent a clear message or threat depending on how you look at things. We have come to a clear understanding. Monogamy is the only way. I'll beat your ass if you cheat on me. Unfortunately, these threats weren't enough, because things would further escalate the following year. See, sadly, despite this warning, Offset continued his ways. So around their 3rd anniversary, Cardi B filed for divorce. Courts claimed that she had finally had enough of Offset's continued cheating and decided to take action before yet another scandal emerged. According to Cardi, she confirmed the divorce filing wasn't over one specific incident, but because she was tired of constant arguments and embarrassment. "I didn't wait until he cheated on me again. I didn't wait for another controversy with him being involved. I decided to leave. If I wanted to stay, I could have stayed." A source told the press, Offset has pretty much cheated the entire time they've been together, but Cardi looked the other way because of the baby. She didn't want to be embarrassed, but she's had enough. However, once again, this wasn't the end of it. See, the couple was stuck in a very toxic cycle. You see, just a few months later, Cardi B took to Instagram Live to announce that they were back together, stating, "Listen y'all, I'm a crazy bitch. You know how I be arguing with y'all on social media? That's exactly how we are, between me and my man. So when people be saying I be doing shit for attention with this and that, no, I'm just a crazy bitch." She didn't make any excuses. This time, she was honest. "One day I'm happy, next day I want to beat him. I just be starting to miss him. It's hard not to talk to your best friend. And it's really hard to not have no." But what happened to the divorce? Well, the case was dismissed without prejudice. According to Offset's attorney, "I can confirm that the divorce filed by Cardi B has been dismissed. My firm and I have been an advocate for helping fathers protect what's most important to them, their families and their children." And speaking of children, in a classic Cardi and Offset moment, the two not only reconciled, but they were actually on their way to baby number 2. Lo and behold, by June of 2021, another not so shocking announcement was made that Cardi was pregnant again. She announced baby number 2 at the BET Awards by performing with her baby bump. And in September, they welcomed their son, Wave. And for a while, Offset seemed to settle down. For a while. In fact, Cardi would even proudly say that Offset was a great father.
Definitely hands-on. Sometimes he just be too hands-on and I be like, "Listen, I got it, all right? I know what I'm doing too, okay, you got 5 kids, but this ain't my first rodeo anymore."
See, at that point, everything was going great for Cardi B. She was on her way to host the American Music Awards later that year, had a healthy baby, and it looked like a happy family. Unfortunately, the good times only lasted a couple years. At this point, if news broke out that Offset had cheated again, most fans probably would have brushed it off as something normal. However, what most fans didn't expect was that in 2023, Offset created a new scandal when he posted on Instagram accusing Cardi of cheating on him, writing, "My wife messed with a on me gang, y'all know how I come." And fans were shocked, though no evidence of Cardi's cheating had actually surfaced. And although the post was quickly deleted, the damage was already done. So what did Cardi have to say about all this? Well, she dismissed the claims.
Don't pay attention to the country, man. That Spaces the other day, that motherfucker spiraling and thinking shit. Come on now, I'm fucking Cardi B.
And further argued,
If I was giving this pussy to anybody, it will be out. I'm not just anybody. Can't fuck me no regular, schmegula, because they gonna tell the world.
But when Angela Yee asked Offset about the deleted post, he admitted that all of it was a lie. He then later admitted that he made the post just because he was high and jealous, claiming,
So that post, to be honest, like, me and her going, that's my wife, I love her to death. Like, we going back and forth, and if you got a New York woman, you know she's a pit bull at the mouth.
Offset further explained that everything happened so fast, and the post was just because of a fight between them.
And we going back and forth, and I'm like, watch this. You know, and it's like, she got a crazy mind, but I love my wife at the end of the day.
But if the public was already confused about the state of Cardi and Offset's relationship, they were left completely baffled after this next incident. You see, during a stream with Kai Cenat, Offset started behaving weirdly, as he was going in and out of the stream every once in a while.
Everything's great. Everything's great. I dropped the link to the video.
And what made this even weirder was the fact that a mysterious woman was heard talking in the background, as if she was talking to Offset. As she kept on talking, Offset, then again, stepped out to entertain the girl, and just a few moments later, he decided to leave the room. Out of nowhere, Kai Cenat's homies started whispering to him, and their conversation was clearly about something juicy. And it didn't take long for them to start laughing, and soon enough, Offset left the stream. 40 minutes later, he came back, receiving a hero's welcome, which only made the situation look more suspicious.
It'll be him and Kyle riding in the Cadillac down Crenshaw.
Of course, fans watching live started to piece together theories, convinced that Offset had snuck away for something shady. But as the internet started running wild with theories, Cardi B immediately jumped his defense. She posted on Twitter to clarify the situation, stating, "Y'all are lying and just putting random clips together. They were laughing because they caught him sleeping, and that's definitely his brand manager / cousin." Cardi didn't hold back though. She even called out the viewers, writing, "Exactly. The fact that they had to watch a 24-hour stream to fake piece things together is embarrassing. They some do-bads LMAO." However, Cardi should have seen the signs. You see, this isn't the first time Offset was caught in 4K cheating on her. In fact, there was also an instance where he was seen hiding his phone during the live stream.
Yo.
But at least for the moment, it seemed like things had cleared up. The issue died down, and Cardi seemed to have Offset's back again. Fortunately for the couple, these controversies hadn't really affected their music careers at all. For instance, Cardi would lead with 12 nominations, including Best Hip Hop Video and Best Collaboration at the 2023 BET Hip Hop Awards. And on top of that, the couple would also collaborate on Offset's second solo album for tracks like Freaky and Jealousy. And finally, it felt like peace was attainable. Unfortunately, this didn't last very long. You see, Trouble in Paradise appeared once more when the couple unfollowed each other on Instagram. Cardi B then said on Instagram Live that she was ready to leave behind anything holding her back in the new year.
You gotta get rid of that weight. And when it comes to that weight, it's just like that way I'll say people.
However, fans believe that she was just sending shots at Offset.
Because a lot of people are that way too.
Cardi was fed up, and she was looking for a new start. Just days later, she made it official, revealing during a live stream that she had actually been single for a while.
I don't care to find out because I've been single for a minute now, but I have been afraid to I'm not afraid, I just don't know how to tell the world.
So this should have been the end of it, right? Well, not really, as what should have been the final chapter between the two couples instead ended up being more drama ensued over the next year. However, this time something was different, but not in a good way. You see, Offset and Cardi B's toxic relationship became even more bizarre when another woman from another infamously toxic relationship jumped into the mix. As if Cardi and Offset's situation wasn't chaotic enough, they soon found themselves in the mess of another controversial couple, Blueface and Chrisean Rock. The drama started when Blueface took to Twitter to rant about his now ex-girlfriend, Chrisean Rock, when all of a sudden, he also dragged Cardi and Offset's name in the picture, writing, "Being tatted on a hoe, not a flex. You literally effed Cardi B husband a couple weeks ago. I'm tired of people looking at me while they messing with you. Get the rest of them gone ASAP, please." It was a huge accusation at the time, and while many were skeptical, it spread like wildfire. And many fans argued whether someone with Offset's known track record would even risk it all with someone like Chrisean Rock. But what did Cardi B think of all this? Well, Cardi didn't appreciate that they were being dragged into another messy relationship. However, instead of protecting Offset and denying Blueface's claims, he decided to go off on her now ex-husband.
Cause you will fucking talk to a nigga and a motherfucker will play in your fucking face over and over and over and over and over again and still be like, watch what I'm about to do. Watch what I'm about to say.
She further added that the timing of it all made it worse, stating,
"Yo, this motherfucker really likes to play games with me when I'm at my most vulnerable time, when I'm not the most confident."
She also argued that she's actually been sparing Offset for a while now, noting that she knew exactly what was going on behind the scenes.
"And I've really been sparing you. You've been feeling yourself, you nigga, because of your album and shit."
Sadly, all these frustrations exploded on her Instagram Live as she crashed out.
"And you really been doing me dirty after so many fucking years that I must help you."
And even though she confessed that she didn't really like ranting online, she felt that she had no choice but to air out her feelings since she had already had enough. And if this crash out wasn't enough to convince you that Offset cheated again, the rumors didn't go away. In fact, it was later revealed that both Offset and Chrisean Rock had attended French Montana's birthday party on November 10th. According to Blueface, that was the same night Chrisean allegedly left with Offset and went back to the home he shared with Cardi B in LA and did you know what. On the other hand, Offset wasn't about to let that narrative slide. Instead of ignoring it, he fired back on Twitter, tweeting, "I never talk or touch that lady. Real talk, man, you need some help." And Blueface immediately clapped back, writing, "If truth tears you down, you live a shameful life, and I feel bad for you cuz I ain't never gonna lie on my, if I hit it, I'ma admit it." Blueface and Offset were clearly getting into it on Twitter, and while the drama eventually cooled down, it didn't disappear completely. The rumors reignited when one of Chrisean's homegirls decided to spill even more tea. On a live stream, she opened up about Chrisean allegedly trying to be messy on purpose.
Notice Hispanics are just way more popping. Cardi B, Chrisean, come on. And then you was a home wrecker, so it's you try to home wreck Cardi, you want to be like her. So it's what did you say?
It turns out, Chrisean willingly tried to get it on with Offset that night.
You left your earring or your ring on purpose so Cardi could see it? That's when I was like, we committing adultery now?
And even though her ex-friends tried to stop her from going,
I didn't even go that day because she kept saying, I'm gonna go da-da-da. And I was like, no, why? I love Cardi. Why would you do that? No.
they just couldn't stop what happened next.
We all looking for Krishan over there. And she left us. And I was like, left us for something. It's not even yours and that's Mary? That's crazy.
After the incident, Krishan's friend decided to leave the friendship.
But yeah, I don't hang out with homewreckers. I don't hang out with people that are soul snatchers. I do not hang around with anything that does not go under my morals anymore.
So by 2024, it became obvious to almost everyone watching that Cardi B was caught up in a destructive mess. That year, things would get worse when rumors of Offset possibly cheating on Cardi B with rapper Saweetie started making their rounds, along with reports of him being spotted out and about with a mysterious woman. But even with these receipts, Offset consistently defended himself, claiming these women weren't anyone he romantically involved himself with. Still, for Cardi, it had to be exhausting for her to constantly answer for her husband's cheating allegations, especially while juggling her career and kids. And with those kinds of responsibilities, Cardi, after almost a decade of heartbreak and stress, had finally had enough. In July of 2024, Cardi B once again filed for divorce. However, the timing couldn't have been worse. The day after filing for divorce, Cardi revealed that she was pregnant with her third child. Publicly, she tried to frame this new chapter as something positive, writing, "With every ending comes a new beginning. I'm so grateful to have shared this season with you. You have brought me more love, more life, and most of all, renewed my power." But even though she insisted that she was okay, behind those brave words, it was clear that she was exhausted by the continuous cycle of betrayal and humiliation. Because right after she filed for divorce, instead of closing that chapter of her life, things only got messier. You see, when news broke out that Cardi was divorcing Offset yet again, things further deteriorated behind the scenes. You see, this time, Cardi wasn't going to defend Offset. Instead, she stopped holding back. In a fiery rant, she called him out. Even without dropping names, it was pretty obvious to everyone that her main target was Offset. At that point, Cardi was just fed up. She even went on to mock the idea that Offset could buy her back with gifts and money, as she was too successful for that. However, Offset clearly wasn't getting the message. You see, for his part, Offset didn't stay silent. In an exchange in Cardi B's Instagram comments, he acted as though he was no longer chasing her, writing, "The fact you keep going shows you hurt. Don't you got a man? Ain't we divorced?" To which Cardi responded, "LMAO, coming from the same one that had to DM me all weekend, crashing out because he was blocked, hurt because I was going to Paris. He right, it'll be the last time talking about his lame ass." However, Offset quickly doubled down and said, "Everyone can see I don't want you. It's okay, I'm not talking about this no more. All love. You'll be calling me after a couple months. You my baby mama. I won." In other words, he was bragging that he trapped her, and things were clearly heating up. So what did Cardi say next? Well, she contradicted him by posting a screenshot of him pleading for her to take him back, even going as far as asking if he could pleasure himself while they spoke on the phone. Yeah. And while that incident alone was enough to set the internet ablaze, it wasn't the worst thing to come out of their collapse. You see, things took an even darker turn when the cheating accusations began flying from both sides. In a shocking turn, Offset fired back by accusing Cardi B of sneaking around while she was pregnant with their latest child, writing, "You cheated with the baby inside. Tell the truth." And while Cardi didn't respond directly to the accusation, she did take to Twitter and basically confirmed the allegations, tweeting, "And did." You see, she didn't even need to explain that tweet, as fans had no sympathy for Offset and quickly mocked him as she was giving him a taste of his own medicine. For instance, one fan wrote, "Once you do a guy the way they did you, now they can't breathe." While another said, "They don't like when you pull them on them." However, Cardi wasn't done. In an Instagram live rant, she insisted that there were plenty of times she could have cheated on Offset. But despite everything, she always showed Offset a level of respect he didn't deserve.
You know what you should be happy? You should be happy that I'm a real gangster ass. At the end of the day, and I'm a solid bitch.
In her rant, she revealed that a lot of Offset's ops have been trying to hook up with her since they split, but she never made the move.
So one thing I'm not gonna do to you ever is entertaining them, your ops that be in my DMs, trying to suck my p***. I will never do that because the op to you is a that wants you.
Deep down, the main reason Cardi never cheated was that she still cared for him.
And I don't want you there because my kids love the f out of you. My kids love you down.
And she added that she just couldn't betray him like that.
So I will never do that. And I really follow gangster. I really follow street codes. I will never be a lame ass bitch that fuck with a nigga op just to get back. No, I don't have to do that shit.
This drama quickly made its rounds on social media. On the Joe Budden podcast, the crew weighed in on whether Cardi would be wrong if she did cheat, considering everything Offset had put her through.
She did do that.
Do which part? Or the
texting while she was pregnant? If she did do that, would she be wrong?
Right away, the panel didn't really agree on things.
I'm going to say no.
What? No.
No.
Oh, shut up, Corey.
However, one of the hosts, Melissa Ford, didn't hold back.
How much public humiliation has she gone through during the entire course of their not only relationship, their marriage? How much? Like, I know you guys don't like this shit.
She even called out the men in the room.
I know you guys think that you can get away with your behavior of cheating, and then also it's like, oh baby, please let me come back, etc., etc., etc. And a woman is just supposed to allow that to happen.
See, in her eyes, people were being hypocrites and sexist. However, even after going through hell, Cardi still tried to make an attempt to de-escalate things. In a now deleted post, she added, "I feel like 2 weeks ago there was a lot of beef. I feel like things are coming down right now. I don't want to have beef with anyone that I love. All the divorce things that happen, I want peace and I want friendship. I just want like a healthy co-parenting relationship. Co-parenting means no effing, no flirting. I want peace." And she clarified there was no possibility of reconciliation this time, tweeting, "Slowly but surely, everybody gotta go their separate ways. My kids gotta get used to that. No, you're not gonna come home every single day and your dad is gonna be there. Slowly but surely." And she also added that he was getting kicked out because that's what keeps us being in the same trap. Oh, we sleep together, we cuddling, the next day we smiling, and then guess what? The same day we're arguing and we're back in that cycle. I don't want that cycle. That's why I'm not entertaining love. And while some fans held out hope that the couple might find their way back to one another, others believed that it was too late for redemption. See, Cardi might have claimed that co-parenting was her ultimate goal, but unfortunately, it didn't take long for things to go left again. This time, Cardi publicly aired out her frustrations about Offset, writing, "Bro, I wish the worst on this man. I never hated somebody so much, and these bitches be so thirsty to please him. Please take this man off my hands. This garbage bag is too heavy." And when a fan commented that she should stop tweeting about Offset since he was the father of her children, Cardi doubled down, writing, "Yeah, he is. That's why I don't wish him death, but I truly hate this dirty, narcissistic piece of shit. And his family and his friends never check him. That's why he's always gonna be a piece of shit person." But the drama didn't stop there. Cardi B once again took things a step further by jumping on Instagram Live to air Offset out in front of tens of thousands of viewers. She claimed he was blowing up her phone nonstop all weekend, trying to get back together.
FaceTime me because he's trying to show me, like trying to hurt my feelings. He's trying to show me the girls that he been, I guess, talking to, and it's like, I don't care.
According to her, Offset resorted to calling her from private numbers and even reached out to her mother, trying to get a response after she blocked him.
You trying to show me, trying to get me mad, like, oh, let me show you the bitch on fuck, let me show you the bitch on DM, I'm gonna hurt her feelings. I don't care.
You see, at that point, Cardi came to a realization.
And I've always been too good for you. I've been too good for you. I've been too good for anything that is associated to you. So you gotta other bitch to make yourself feel better. Because I make you feel so low about yourself.
But it didn't stop there. In fact, Cardi would even directly target him where it hurt.
I don't care. You're a lame. And them is lames too. You wanna know why? Because you gotta them bitch in order to get your ego to feel high.
And at this point, the relationship had become so dysfunctional that it attracted the attention of Child Protective Services. You see, as the personal drama escalated, it was revealed that Child Protective Services had begun investigating Cardi B and Offset's household. At first, Cardi claimed that it started with a prank call.
Child Protective Services to come to my house, not my house, my gated mansion at 11 p.m. while my children are sleeping because there's an anonymous call that there's been going on that my kids have been getting and beaten.
Which she clearly didn't appreciate.
Are you dumb? This is when the pranks start getting too far. When you think the shit is funny.
But not long after, she'd share her dilemma online, uploading a video of her call with CPS.
This is what I was going through while I'm in a hospital bed. Listen to this. She said it herself.
So these are just allegations. In the state of New Jersey, the way it works is anybody can pick up the phone and call our 1-877 number and make allegations against anybody. And we have to respond.
Despite their hatred for each other, the ex-couple were both present in the call, and for a while, the two were united to keep CPS away from their children.
How do we protect our children from this type of stuff, though? Because this is traumatizing.
So
when you asked my daughter to she roll up her sleeves, she was confused. She didn't even know.
Cardi, on the other hand, was visibly frustrated.
Okay, so this is my question, right? Me and Offset have millions of fans. Just how much we got fans, we got people that don't like us. So tomorrow somebody else can make an allegation and you guys gonna come tomorrow?
She couldn't accept the fact that any random caller could just call the CPS and her family could undergo another investigation.
In 2 months from now, somebody make an allegation and you guys are gonna come?
I want to say that no, we wouldn't, but
say yes.
I'll explain this to you. There's some states that they don't take half of the things that they get a call about, and there's other states that do.
Things only worsened when, after refusing to hand over her newborn daughter's information, Cardi claimed CPS kept returning. repeatedly harassing her for details.
My daughter doesn't even have a social security because I don't want nobody knowing her name, her information, anything. So why are you harassing me, and you're harassing me, and you're harassing me, and you're harassing me about my daughter's information, my brand new daughter information?
Sadly, it wasn't just the CPS that was causing Cardi an immense amount of stress. You see, the scrutiny became relentless, with critics mocking her every move. People questioned why she was still going out to clubs while supposedly going through a divorce.
Oh, Cardi, you keep going to the clubs, and ain't you supposed to be with your baby? Well, I be with my baby all day.
According to Cardi, the reason she was going out was because she wanted to let off steam and relax for her mental health.
If I stay home and fucking depress myself, that's just gonna drive me crazy. That's why I'm working, and in the weekends, I'm going out with my girls.
And I guess both of them let off steam in a similar way, as just recently, Offset was seen stepping out with a model named Anak Yao. Just days later, he appeared on the cover for his new single, draped in his signature chains. Cardi, meanwhile, was rumored to be texting NFL star Stefon Diggs. According to academics, Offset reportedly found out by going through her phone.
Offset went through her phone and caught her texting a nigga, some dog ass named Stefon Diggs, some football player, okay?
However, academics put out a very important detail.
You know what's so funny? This is what I heard. I'm gonna tell you everything I heard. I heard Cardi didn't even fuck the nigga. This is what I heard, honestly. I heard she didn't fuck him, right?
Through it all, Cardi claimed that she was focused on one thing above all, getting the bag.
I love money. I need money. I love money. I want money. I smell money. I breathe money. I think about money. And I don't ever want to run out of money.
However, even while stating she was focusing more on her career, academics would soon be proven right. You see, fast forward to 2025, and Cardi has found her new love with NFL star Stefon Diggs. The two sparked dating rumors back in February after TMZ obtained videos and photos showing the new couple arriving at a Miami hotel. And not long after the sighting, Cardi decided to up the antics when she was spotted giving a lap dance to the footballer right before she took the stage at Coachella. On top of that, the couple had a courtside date at a New York Knicks game as recently as May of 2025. And with Cardi confidently flaunting her new flame, fans were ecstatic to see that she was finally happy. However, some fans couldn't help but mock Offset, writing, "Ooh, now they're official. I know that dusty loser Offset is crying, screaming, and throwing up in a corner somewhere. LMAO." So what did Offset have to say about this? Well, initially, Offset showed support for Cardi's new relationship. When a fan commented, "Offset punch in the air," he couldn't help but comment back, writing, "I'm happy for her." But was he really though? Because just a few weeks later, Offset teased a new song, and fans quickly speculated that it was a diss track targeting both Cardi B and Stefon Diggs. And although Offset didn't name drop anybody, lines like, "Messing with that girl, occasionally you have to pay up or the next rich man might take her." However, sadly, it looked like Cardi had gotten herself in another messy situation. You see, Stefon Diggs was recently seen spotted flirting with a bunch of women on a Miami yacht. And to make things even worse, this was the same yacht Cardi was spotted twerking on earlier that day. The footage went viral, but as of now, neither party has publicly addressed the incident. But if you thought that Cardi B and Offset had given the fans enough drama, well, Offset decided to throw in one more curveball. As recently as May of 2025, Offset was looking for the bag as he officially filed to request spousal support from Cardi B as a part of their ongoing divorce and custody negotiations, which led fans to ask why. Was he broke? Well, although the documents didn't specify an exact amount, it was clear that Offset wanted compensation from his ex-wife, which he got utterly clowned for on the internet. However, if anything is clear, this won't be the end of the two's relationship drama. Next, we're going to talk about the couple that looked good on paper, but was later revealed to have really dark skeletons in their relationship's closet. I'm talking, of course, about Juice WRLD and Ali Lottie. These two look perfect together, and while Juice was on the cusp of stardom, Ali Lottie was there with them, whether it was on stage or in their shared place together. In fact, Juice WRLD was so obsessed with her that Ali herself had this to say.
Literally, he kidnapped me is the only way we could say it. Like, I don't own anything from my house except for my dogs.
Like, he wasn't trying to have you leave. He was just like, I
no, he
want
did not
your presence.
let me leave.
Right.
And while this might sound like a match made in heaven, little did they know they were the worst possible people for each other. But we'll get to that later. So what went wrong and how bad did it get? Well, to understand that, we have to go over how they got together in the first place. You see, Juice's name had blown up with All Girls Are the Same, his debut hit single. The song did so well that it debuted on the Billboard charts and even reached the 41st spot. Not only that, it was also critically acclaimed, receiving a Best New Music designation from Pitchfork while raking in over 1 billion streams on Spotify. And as of writing this, the music video currently sits at almost 500 million views on YouTube. So to say that Juice could have been one of hip-hop's next biggest artists would have been an understatement. At this point, it was an inevitable reality. However, with all the success, money, and clout that he was generating, Juice WRLD attracted all kinds of people towards him, one of which was Ali. However, his success also exaggerated his dark tendencies towards using illegal substances. Just take a look at this clip of Juice obviously under the influence while talking about how he and Ali met.
I was just telling her how we met and shit.
He never let me go home.
I was telling her how I ain't never feel that way in my life about anybody. Like a year ago, she DM'd me, not even on no flirting shit, no nothing. She DM'd me like, your music's good, keep it up. And that was pretty much it. After a while, we were like flirting back and forth a little bit, but this is even before that. It was on the East Coast. We met in Rhode Island. When we parted ways, I was like, no, this ain't gonna do it, bro. Like, that's not what's happening. So I was like, nah, like I need you. I love you.
But that didn't stop him from headlining his own tour and dropping more chart-topping music, as in 2019, it would be impossible for you not to hear a Juice WRLD song on the radio or on the internet, and it definitely felt like the only person who could stop his meteoric rise was none other than himself. Unfortunately, that exact thing happened, because on December 19th of 2019, his vices finally caught up to him.
The rapper, whose real name is Jared Anthony Higgins, had just gotten off a flight from California this morning when he collapsed. TMZ says he was rushed to a hospital where he was later pronounced dead.
And just like that, what would have been a long and amazing career for Juice was cut short after falling to the influence of drugs. After the tragedy was announced, Ali was the first to act emotional on social media.
He wasn't okay. He was tired. He was tired. I was tired. It's not simple. It's not, I got a phone call. So if I have to continue being strong, I need you guys to continue remembering him in that light. Remember him being super fucking happy. Because he was. And
while fans were supportive of her and showed her love for sticking with Juice until the end, others couldn't help but dig deeper into their relationship and examine it closer to see if she was the person that she portrayed herself to be. And when HBO finally released their Juice WRLD documentary titled Into the Abyss in 2021, a lot of fans slowly started to turn on Ali. You see, at first, she tricked everyone into thinking that she stopped him from falling further and further into his addiction by stopping him from drinking lean or using drugs. But as I said earlier, it was all a lie. Ali Lottie successfully made fans think that she was the last bastion of hope for Juice WRLD to get sober, when in reality, she had been doing all those illegal substances with them. Now, I can't show it on the screen for obvious reasons, but the dark reality is, Ali Lottie was more of an addict than Juice was. And this all but confirmed that she enabled his tendencies, especially when he listened to this unreleased Juice WRLD snippet titled Wander to LA, where he's saying, maybe it's the love, maybe it's the drug. Maybe it's because my girlfriend is the plug. And as horrible as the situation was, it only went downhill from there. Because afterward, fans looked up Ali Lottie's personal information and found out that not only was she using substances alongside Juice, she was also a distributor, otherwise known as a drug dealer. In fact, she even got arrested on January 26th of 2023 for theft and possession of illegal substances. So it turns out she wasn't the best type of person to have around Juice, and their relationship only helped pull him even further to the point of no return, especially when you consider that Ali Lottie was with him during his final moments. For someone reliant on substances like Juice, having his girlfriend Ali supply him with it was truly unfortunate, given how much he was leaning on her for emotional support. However, she brushed these accusations off and accused Juice WRLD's management company of ruining his legacy.
I am safe first. They've tried their hardest to make sure I wasn't going to be here. They don't need us. They don't need you anymore. You made so many songs that we're a liability being here. It's always been about money, and Jared made enough money to not have this issue. I would literally sit on his lap every day and be like, don't go record. I cannot let Jared's legacy be what it is. Jared would never treat any of his fans like.
So it seemed like despite everything that happened, Ali was a fan of Juice and his music through and through, right? I mean, she even said that if she was a musician, she'd release the same type of music in an interview.
This kid, like, I couldn't even make out his face or who he was, right? I was like, I don't know who the this kid is, but because I don't know what version I was watching of this, because it was so new. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, this is, if I made music, like, if I knew how, like, if I didn't sound like Fran Dresser, like, this is what I would do.
However, little did everyone know, back when the two weren't together, she was caught on camera making fun of his songs.
And this is why I can't listen to the radio. I need to stop rappers.
Now, this was back when the two hadn't met, so it couldn't have been that bad, right? However, that totally goes against what she said in interviews, where she had nothing but compliments towards him.
Play this shit. I don't care what studio I'm in, who I'm around, like, I'm playing this shit. I was working at the club. I made them play, like, this shit is so fire. Like, you know, this is gonna be huge.
And his music before they had even met. However, it somehow gets even worse because Ali Lottie wasn't any ordinary fan when she happened to meet Juice. She was a known hip-hop groupie. Back in 2017, she uploaded thirsty tweets about Smoke Perp. Anyone know someone in NYC to tattoo me and Perp? Right now, let me know ASAP. There were even videos circulating online of the two linking up. Though she tried her best to hide these clips from prying eyes, fans quickly dug them up and labeled her a clout chaser and a gold digger. She never made it a secret that she was trying to get in relationships with rappers for the clout. However, it wasn't just Smoke Perp that she had her eyes on, as there were plenty more rappers that she got with to chase the bag. And let me just preface this by saying that we're not here to judge anyone for the amount of people they've been with, but in Ali's case, it's no wonder why Juice WRLD lied about how the two met.
I see her and I say, wow, that is a very studious, beautiful lady over there. I lean over to Pete, I say, Pete, old buddy, old pal, I want to go say something, should I do it? And Pete was like, if you spread your wings, you'll fly.
To add to that, Ali was thirsting over Kodak Black and even implied that she was getting piped by the Florida rapper.
It was like, you f***ing lame, and I was like, I ignored him, and it was like, then I said I'm just like a regular ass now.
She was proud to say that Kodak felt some type of way towards Smoke Perp for getting with her, as wild as that is.
And then he was like, I see you with Perp, and I was like, you're not gonna drop this. So then I was like, wait, you don't like Perp? And he was like, nah. I started going off, and I was like, what do we do? And now I don't know what to do, and I just don't want to open his snap. But like, I can't not.
One time, she even let the whole world know that she was trying to get on the Migos train. Offset just landed in Colorado, hopping off this plane right now, But her long list of flings with other rappers didn't stop there. See, she also linked with Lil Mosey in 2018, and you're probably thinking, what makes this image so bad in hindsight? Well, let me contextualize it for you. At the time, Lil Mosey was a minor. He was only 16 years old, while Ali Lottie was a grown 26-year-old woman. She and Juice had a 6-year age gap by the time they got together, so it wasn't like age was gonna stop her from linking up with famous artists. In early 2018, she went as far as to announce to the world that she and Lil Skies were sleeping together, and to make it worse, she also uploaded a video tagging the SoundCloud rapper. And it didn't stop there, because rappers that were Juice's colleagues and friends still weren't safe from Ali. A frequent Juice WRLD collaborator also fell victim to Ali's charm. The weird part was, after Juice Ali passed away, Ali uploaded a video of them linking up.
Very nice. I don't even know why you tried it.
However, long before she linked with Smoke Perp, Ali was already in that kind of industry from the beginning. As listen to what she said in this interview when asked what she did to make money before dating Juice.
Tours, did a couple of this, did a couple of that. Yeah, I would go with my friend. I've been in this I guess what, industry.
Okay. Once these videos and thirst tweets were unearthed, fans slowly began to realize that Ali was nothing more than a groupie who did her best to get with Juice for the money. People need to get the idea that Ali and Juice was true love out of their heads. They were two drug addicts with access to mad cash and were on their first year of dating, which is always the best time of any relationship. If Juice got the chance to sober up, I'd love to see them carry that energy for a couple more years. And this fan added something that was on a lot of people's minds at the time. They were together for a year, and I'm sure Juice was not sober for one of those days. From there, every Juice WRLD fan collectively called her out for her past behavior. But this was all in the past. What she did next in the future was the final straw. You see, after Juice WRLD passed away, Ali Lottie decided that she would start selling adult content of herself, and obviously, fans would make fun of her. So how did Ali respond? The only way she knew how, crashing out over Juice WRLD's loyal fans.
I think he died from a drug overdose. You're wrong! You're wrong! Literally, you're wrong! So
But what really cemented her position as the #1 obstacle for Juice WRLD's legacy was when she proudly announced that her Odd Future website was going to feature an extremely rare video of her and Juice WRLD doing the deed. Thankfully, there's been no news of the video leaking anywhere online, but anyways, it's safe to say that Ali didn't react kindly to the backlash.
So suck my literally.
However, Juice WRLD fans around the world were banding together to let her know that she wasn't honoring his legacy the right way, and that she was only with them for the fame and money. And it wouldn't take long for her to prove the fans right. You see, shortly after Juice WRLD passed, Ali began to list his wardrobe for sale, including Supreme hoodies, Chanel jewelry, fur coats, and even Supreme goggles. Some sources also claim that Ali Lottie sold unreleased songs as well for a hefty sum. In other words, she felt no emotional attachment to the things that Juice left behind. And just when her actions had already stirred up outrage, she was about to push her fans even further over the edge when she got a new boyfriend named Carter Jamieson in 2022. See, Carter wasn't just any regular dude. He was an 18-year-old quote-unquote entrepreneur who's actually a prolific scammer behind the scenes. And if that wasn't bad enough, he was in middle school while Ali and Juice were together. That's how crazy their age gap is. But that's not really what I wanted to talk about. See, what really enraged fans was when Carter uploaded a story on his Instagram flexing a watch that belonged to Juice. See, this wasn't just any other watch that Juice owned. It was a gift from the late rapper to Ali. So seeing someone else parade it while playing a Juice WRLD song in the background was insanely disrespectful. But it didn't stop there. Ali also gave him access to Juice's wardrobe. In fact, here's an image of the two wearing the exact same sweater. So it's messed up to tarnish your own ex's legacy just for clout. However, Juice's relationship with Ali Lottie was only one of many messed up relationships that he had over the course of his short life. See, before the two publicly announced that they were together, Juice was in an equally messed up relationship with a fellow artist named Starfire. And here's how the two met.
Yo, you need to meet this guy, like you guys are gonna get along, like you guys are just gonna click, just trust me, you have to meet him, okay?
After meeting each other once, the two immediately hit it off and fell in love. She actually became the reference for Juice's song, Love You Always, or better known as Starfire, where he professed his love for her. So far so good, saying, I'm in love with a beautiful lady, she's in my brain, star you set my heart on fire. I can't explain I got your name, tatted on my brain. So far so good, right? The two eventually moved in together and lived happily ever after. Or at least that's what I wanted to say if only Juice hadn't met Ali Lottie. You see, everything was going well for Starfire and Juice, but when Juice met Ali, that's when all hell broke loose. Because sometime in 2018, Juice himself admitted that he broke up with Starfire and even went as far as ghosting her due to being infatuated with another woman, which in this case was Ali. He spoke more in depth about it in an interview with Benny Blanco.
To her, I was supposed to actually link with her, but I stopped talking to her because I saw this other girl who was real beautiful. So I was like, nah, I'm gonna vibe with this type shit. And wow, all this was going on when I was with my ex. She's gonna find out I cheated.
Nothing has to.
Oh no, I want this to come out. Okay.
It's all in the past.
It's all in the past. I'm happily in a relationship now, a loyal one.
Yeah, it turns out Juice wasn't blameless for how the relationship fell apart. He also told fans and anyone that asked that the reason why he and Starfire never worked out was due to her treating him horribly, which couldn't have been further from the truth. In response, she clapped back and called him out.
For cheating on me is that I treated him bad and that I said mean things to him. Basically, I'm debunking that excuse, so now he's left with no excuses at all except the fact that he's an
While Juice was messing around and cheating on her with Ali, this gave Starfire some time to start doing an investigation on her own. And that's when she found out that Juice had a pretty nasty relationship with his first girlfriend. See, this first girl, who we'll call Bella, was only 14 or 15 years old when Juice was at the cusp of turning 18. That alone was a major red flag, but when Starfire found out about it, that's when she aired him online.
Tell him that I hated him. I told him that I thought he was a bad person, because I don't stand behind these 18, 19, 20-year-old men on 13, 14, and 15-year-old girls. That's crazy. There's such a big, difference, in your head with maturity, with your innocence level, with things that you're exposed to. And, in my opinion, that's just really fucked up.
After calling him out for having a predatory and one-sided relationship with Bella, she added that the discovery made her doubt everything that she knew about Juice, making her totally paranoid.
We were months into a relationship, and I was freaking out because I was like, okay, do I not even know my boyfriend? Who is this guy? Do I not know you at all? Because he was lying.
Starfire added that Juice did nothing but tell lies.
He does is lie. He lies to me, he lies to you guys, he lies to his mom, he lies to everybody.
However, if you listen to Juice, you know that these problematic relationships became the fuel to keep his music going. After all, he wasn't exactly the type of rapper who'd shy away from talking about his feelings. So this led him to blow up even more, as fans continued to listen to his music, slowly starting to brush Starfire's accusations off as nothing more but a maneuver to chase clout. But in her eyes, that didn't matter, because she was just getting started with her Juice WRLD expose.
He wanted me there with him constantly. Every show, every flight, every meeting, every car ride, every studio session, everything. Over time, he also had me give up my apartment because he said we were gonna get a house together. We didn't. That was another lie.
Sounds familiar, right? This is the exact same thing that Juice WRLD wanted in a relationship, something that Ali was willing to give him, but the same couldn't be said for Starfire.
We were literally homeless, living out of a suitcase for 6 months, and that was terrible because I needed an address. I have BPD. I have borderline personality disorder. It's kind of like bipolar, like depression, and the lifestyle we were living was making me very sick.
But in her case, there was nothing she could do. After all, Juice had all the money, and she was reduced to being nothing more than his tail, following him around wherever he went. From her perspective, she was probably making the right decision. After all, Juice WRLD in between 2017 and 2018 was the real deal. However, the story takes a much darker turn, because as I mentioned earlier, Juice had a problem when it came to his reliance on substances, and he was slowly going to rope her into it.
To not really care, because he started giving me these that I never did before, that I ended up addicted to.
You think that her financial problems wouldn't stay that way anymore because of how rich Juice WRLD was, right? Well, think again, because while he was getting millions from his record deal and plenty of other lucrative shows, Juice still siphoned her bank accounts dry.
I don't know if I mentioned that earlier or not, but I didn't have a job. Jared made me quit. I was following him everywhere, but then he was using my money still, and it's like, why are you comfortable spending my money when I don't have a source of income?
What she said next about Juice was wild.
Like, he didn't have a debit card, he didn't have a phone, he didn't have a car, he didn't have a house, he didn't have shit. So I would have to put my debit card down at the hotels, right? And then I would check my card, and all of a sudden it'd be -500, -500, -500, -500.
Letting her jobless girlfriend pay for everything is crazy. What's even crazier though was the total amount of money that she spent on him.
In a total, he owes me probably about $10,000. Like, right before we broke up, he made me leave all of my clothes at his mom's house because he said that he'd buy me new ones. Guess what? Another lie. He didn't. I ended up having to spend some of my own money to pay for that.
From the sound of it, Juice was making empty promises to her if what Starfire said was true. But it wasn't just the money. The relationship got much more toxic, especially when physical altercations became a common occurrence.
It was bad. But then guess what? It got worse. We started getting physical with each other. And it was both ways. I admit it, and it opened up the door to something that could have potentially been very scary. I would like to make it clear right now that he never beat me. He never put a fist to my body.
Although Starfire wanted to make it clear that Juice never did those things, according to her, he was still guilty of other physical actions such as this.
But he has definitely picked me off the ground, slamming me into the wall and squeezing me so tight that I have bruises all over my arms, little fingerprints. He's shoved me into a bathtub where I hit my head on the wall. When we were fighting on the tour bus, it was to the point that his friends had to pull him off of me, and I ended up with a bruise and cuts on my leg that were so bad that I had a scar on my leg for months. That bruise was there.
It got so bad that whenever she got a new bruise from one of their fights, she stopped processing them. And there was a point when Juice's team had to ask her where she got her bruises.
Honestly, for probably 4 weeks. I remember at the VMAs, his manager came up to me and he was like, "What happened to you?" And I was like, I didn't even notice. I was so used to it at this point. So I put makeup all over it. Honestly, I shouldn't have even gone.
Now, of course, we have to talk about their eventual breakup due to Ali Lottie.
I broke up with him twice. The last time I did, he ran out and got a tattoo for me on his neck. I'm pretty sure there's a video of it. He was with Trippie in the studio. It might be on YouTube or something.
I mean, having someone's name tattooed on your neck is wild, especially knowing how the relationship was about to turn out. She later added,
and then we were physically fighting, and he just started crying, holding on to me, and I promised him, I was like, "Babe, I'll be right here," because he was gonna go to a show, and I was staying back to get my hair done, and I was like, "I'll be right here when you get back, I promise."
Spoiler alert, they weren't in fact alright. See, Juice told her to wait for him while he was going to tour on another state to do a show.
He made me wait in LA for 2 weeks, telling me he was coming back, and he never came back. I was literally left with nothing. I was jobless, I was homeless, I had no clothes, I had no money, I had nothing. He broke up with me through a text and never called once. To this day, he has never called me.
Little did she know, Ali Lottie was slowly taking place and worming herself into Juice's life. After her rant, Juice said that she was playing the victim and that she treated him badly. LMAO, don't get mad because you treated me like shit and you got back dookie for dookie, kiddo. Lottie 1,000 times better than any of my past relationships ever. She genuinely has my best interest at hand. All I'm gonna say about it, if you know, you know, 999. And ironically, we all know how that turned out. Next up, we have what's probably known as hip-hop's most disturbing relationship of all time. Chris Brown and Rihanna first met in December 2005 at the Z100 Jingle Ball in Madison Square Garden. At the time, both were on the rise, building reputations as fresh new voices in R&B and pop. But right from the beginning, their chemistry was undeniable, and the industry quickly picked up on it. After the success of Rihanna's hit single Umbrella, Chris recorded a remix titled Cinderella, which made speculations of their relationship louder. But that's not all. Chris Brown even performed it live with her on tour, and the chemistry between them was obvious for anyone who was watching. However, for a while, they stuck with the gimmick that they were just friends, which many people didn't really believe. And sure enough, as time passed, the couple were photographed together on vacations, spotted in clubs, and seen out together countless times. I mean, that's not really how friends hang out, making it clear to fans that there was something more going on behind the scenes. However, while the world saw a glamorous young couple, behind closed doors, things were entirely different. The incident back in 2009 wasn't really the first time violence had erupted between them. In fact, just a year before, the two were on a trip to Europe when Rihanna allegedly put her hands on Chris Brown, which led to him doing something much more violent. That's not all. Another incident took place in 2009 when they visited Barbados. During a heated argument, Chris smashed the windows of a rental car, and unfortunately, this behavior might have stemmed from their upbringing. You see, Chris grew up watching his stepfather A-word his mother, and Rihanna had also witnessed violence between her parents. So the trauma they both carried into the relationship made for a volatile, damaging situation. And if you look closely at the relationship, these fights were a pattern. And in an interview, Chris even admitted that.
It would be fights, it would be verbal fights, physical fights as well, mutual sides, and this is the first time I get to say anything. And like I said, I still love Rihanna, but I'm just gonna be honest. We would fight each other, she would hit me, I would hit her. But it never was okay.
But why did they do that to each other? Well, according to Rihanna, she did love Chris Brown. In fact, it was much deeper than that.
He was definitely my first big love. He always played. He played a lot, so it was a good feeling to come out of the adult lifestyle and just, when you're in your room, just be yourself. We were best friends. So
sadly, she added that falling in love with a best friend is also difficult.
We just fell really fast, and the more in love we became, the more dangerous we became for each other, equally as dangerous, because it was a bit of an obsession.
Clearly, this wasn't just a celebrity fling. It was something much deeper but far more destructive. And unfortunately, the worst was yet to come. The main event happened on February 8th of 2009. Both artists were scheduled to perform at the Grammys that night, but neither would make it. See, at the time, many fans believed something fishy was going on, and soon enough, the truth would come out. You see, earlier that evening, Chris and Rihanna attended Clive Davis's, but the tension started when one of Chris's ex-girlfriends showed up. Rihanna was visibly upset, but tried to shake it off and enjoy the party. However, afterwards, the couple was seen at a gas station, and it felt like everything was okay.
How's it going, Chris? You cleaning up on the Grammys?
However, what happened next? According to police reports, as they drove in Chris's Lamborghini, Rihanna saw a text message from the same ex-girlfriend whom they had met at the party. The message read, "Kill the Grammys, do your thing, I'll see you at the after party." And with that kind of text, Rihanna's brain was suddenly full of doubt and betrayal. So when Rihanna confronted Chris about it, it started a fight.
I couldn't take that he kept lying to me, and he couldn't take that I wouldn't drop it, because obviously his back was up against the wall. The truth is right here in the text message.
The official police report was very disturbing. Referred to by her legal name, Robin Fenty, Rihanna's night was just starting to get worse. The two kept on fighting about the text message, as Chris Brown recalled.
You know, she's fighting me, and I'm like, look, I'm telling you the truth, I swear to God. You know, I'm telling you the truth, stop it. So then she hits me a couple more times, and I just kind of it doesn't go from translation to, let's sit down, I'm telling you the truth. It goes to, now I'm finna be mean and be evil.
According to the police report, a verbal argument ensued, and Brown pulled the vehicle over an unknown street, reached over with his right hand, opened the car door, and attempted to force her out. When he couldn't force her to exit, he took his right hand, and I can't say that on YouTube, but he got her out the vehicle. And if you thought that Chris was gonna stop with that, he then got even more violent.
Like, I remember she tried to kick me. It's like just her just being, but then I really, I with a closed fist, like I, you know, and it busted her lip. And when I saw it, I was in shock.
Keep in mind that while this was all going on, they were still driving. The police report stated, he then drove away in the vehicle and continued in the face with his right hand while steering the vehicle with his left hand. The A-word caused Robin's mouth to fill with and splatter all over her clothing and the interior of the vehicle. At one point, Brown threatened, "I'm gonna out of you when we get home. You wait and see." Desperate, Rihanna pretended to call her personal assistant, hoping to scare him. When she faked the call, Chris snapped and said, "You just did the stupidest thing ever. Now I'm really gonna get rid of you." However, in an interview with ABC, Rihanna felt like these were just threats to scare her off. But what really frightened her was Chris Brown's eyes.
He had no soul in his eyes, just blank. So at that point, I just didn't know what could happen. He was clearly blacked out.
In her point of view at the point, she wasn't fighting with the same guy that loved her.
There was no person when I looked at him. It's almost as though he had nothing to lose.
They then started fighting Unfortunately, the struggle continued until a neighbor, hearing Rihanna's screams for help, called 911. However, by the time police arrived, Chris had fled the scene. Sadly for both artists, the timing couldn't have been worse. See, they were at a pivotal point in their careers. Rihanna was in her Good Girl Gone Bad era, and Umbrella stayed at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 for 10 weeks. During that time, she was dropping hits left and right, like Shut Up and Drive, Hate That I Love You, and Don't Stop the Music. On top of that, a year before the incident, she won her first Grammy for Umbrella, cementing her status as one of the best artists of the generation. On the other hand, Chris Brown was also on the rise. He ventured into acting and scored hits like No Air with Jordan Sparks. His album Exclusive was well received, and by the end of 2008, Billboard named him Artist of the Year. On paper, they were perfect. Unfortunately, their relationship was far from a fairy tale. When a photograph of Rihanna's face was leaked, no thanks to an LAPD officer who sold the image to the press, fans were outraged. Chris Brown immediately became public enemy #1, with fans commenting things like, "He needs to go to jail. California needs to get over its lenient attitude for celebrities, especially when violence is involved. I don't care how sorry he is, there is no excuse for this. The relationship is so bad, leave, but don't lay a finger on her. Be a man, not an animal." And can't wait till Chris Brown is behind bars and learns firsthand what it's like to be on the receiving end. Feeling extremely guilty, Chris Brown didn't bother running as he turned himself in the next day.
I look back at that picture and I'm just like, yo, bro, like, that's not me, bro. That's not me. Like, I hate it to this day. You know what I'm saying? That's gonna haunt me forever.
According to him, his mental health was horrible. In the end,
I hated myself, you know, so I was thinking about and everything else. I loved her, you know. I wanted to protect her because I did too much stuff to her. Like, I did what I did, so it was wrong.
He was arrested and charged with 2 counts of felony.
What is your training?
Christopher Morris Brown.
Your attorney has advised the court that you wish to enter a plea of guilty to that charge. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
He later accepted a plea deal, which included community service, 5 years of probation, and mandatory domestic violence counseling.
He would be required to serve 180 days in county jail or the equivalent of labor, as the court has indicated.
However, these consequences were the least of his worries. You see, after what he had just done, things were about to get a lot worse for him and his career. You see, Wrigley dropped him as a double mint spokesperson, radio stations pulled his songs from rotation after receiving thousands of angry calls, his performance at the NBA All-Star Game was cancelled, and even Sesame Street removed his episode. The industry and the public wanted nothing to do with him. In the aftermath, Chris Brown posted a YouTube apology video, but instead of garnering compassion, it came off as scripted and insincere.
Hi, I'm Chris Brown. Since February, my attorney has advised me not to speak out, even though ever since the incident I wanted to publicly express my deepest regret and accept full responsibility.
He opened the video by explaining how his attorney had advised him not to speak out since February, though he claimed he always wanted to publicly express regret and take full responsibility. He added that he tried to apologize to Rihanna countless times.
I have told Rihanna countless times that I'm telling you today that I am truly, truly sorry and that I wasn't able to handle the situation both differently and better.
And he also admitted that he wished he could relive those moments, but instead, he wouldn't go into details or make excuses. However, he did try to play the sympathy card by bringing up his rough childhood.
I've let a lot of people down, and I realize that, and no one is more disappointed in me than I am. As many of you know, I grew up in a home where there was domestic violence, and I saw firsthand what uncontrolled rage could do.
However, viewers weren't convinced. The video looked heavily scripted, and it really lacked the emotion expected after such a massive scandal.
I can only ask and pray that you forgive me, please. I hope that others learn from my mistake. I intend to live my life so that I'm truly worthy of the term role model. Thank you.
But if that looked scripted, no one expected that Chris Brown would be full of tears during his BET performance. You see, in 2010, Chris Brown tried to make a public comeback by performing a tribute to Michael Jackson at the BET Awards. During Man in the Mirror, he broke down in tears on stage. In fact, he didn't even get to sing the song since he couldn't control his emotions. The audience was visibly moved, with many seeing it as his first genuine expression of remorse. But whatever goodwill Chris Brown regained, it didn't really last long, as in 2011, while promoting his Fame album, Chris Brown sat for an interview with Robin Roberts on Good Morning America. However, Roberts couldn't help but ask about Rihanna and the restraining order. Unfortunately, this was a bad move since Chris became visibly irritated.
Have you all seen each other, been around each other?
I mean, not really. I mean, it's not really a big deal to me now as far as that situation. I think I'm past that in my life, and I think today is the album day, so that's what I'm focused on. So everybody go get that album.
And for a while, he got the chance to talk about his new music.
Fame, forgiving all my enemies, and definitely fans are my everything.
But it really pissed him off when the topic kept going back to Rihanna.
Well, that was very serious. What you went through and what happened and what even the judge though afterwards said that you had served your time as far as the community service and that, and move it on. But
controlling his anger, he just deflected the questions again and insisted that he was focused more on his music and his career.
I've been focusing on his album, you know. I think this album is what, you know, I want people to hear and want people to really get into. So definitely this album is what I want them to talk about and not the stuff that happened 2 years ago.
I understand that. I understand that.
But you know what? Even on the verge of crashing out, Chris Brown was still able to perform. However, while he might have been vibing and dancing during this performance, what happened next clearly showed how he felt inside. After the interview, Chris Brown went off. According to reports, he got so mad that he smashed a window in his dressing room and stormed out of the building shirtless, which left the question, did he really change at all? Clearly, Chris Brown didn't appreciate the repetitive questions about the incident. Right after he threw a fit, he took to Twitter to rant, and in a now deleted tweet, he said, "I'm so over people bringing this past shit up. Yet we praise Charlie Sheen and other celebs for their bullshit." However, over the following years, Chris Brown just couldn't stay out of trouble. For instance, back in 2012, he got into a fight at the club about Rihanna versus Drake and his entourage, which we'll talk about later. And just a year after that, Chris was arrested for once again after he got into a fight with two men who approached him for a photo. In 2013, he also made headlines for getting into a fight with Frank Ocean, where he allegedly threw a bunch of slurs at him during the incident. On top of that, Chris was also involved in a hit and run accident that made a judge sentence him to an additional 1,000 hours of community service. And unfortunately, his legal issues didn't stop there. Chris even violated his probation and ended up in jail. But despite everything that happened, Rihanna publicly forgave Chris Brown. She sat down with Oprah for an emotional interview where she opened up about how she was doing and, surprisingly, how she still felt about Chris.
A lot of people thought that Chris was unforgivable. Have you forgiven him?
I have forgiven him. It took me a long time.
During the conversation, Rihanna showed compassion to Chris Brown, stating,
He made that mistake because he needed help, and like, who's gonna help him? Nobody's gonna say he needs help. Everybody's gonna say he's a monster without looking at the source. And I was more concerned about him.
It was a really powerful but unexpected statement, especially coming from someone who had been through such a traumatic experience. But if you thought this was a surprise, no one saw what happened next. Around 2012 and 2013, Chris Brown and Rihanna decided to try a relationship again. And rightfully so, the two received immediate backlash. People just couldn't wrap their heads around why Rihanna would take him back after everything that happened. But when asked about their controversial reunion in an interview with the Rolling Stone, Rihanna made it clear that she was putting her own happiness first, saying, "I decided it was more important for me to be happy. I wasn't gonna let anyone's opinion get in the way of that. Even if it's a mistake, it's my mistake. After being tormented for so many years, being angry and dark, I'd rather just live my truth and take the backlash. I can handle it." Unfortunately for Riri, this was a mistake, because the drama didn't stop there. Around the time that Chris and Rihanna got back together, they found themselves tangled in a messy love triangle with model Karrueche Tran. You see, Chris was already dating her when he dropped her to get back with Rihanna. In an interview, Karrueche revealed that Chris did tell her about Rihanna, but she believed it was more of a friendship.
And when he told you he was dealing with her, you said okay?
Yes, because I was under the impression that it was a friend type of, not a friend, but it wasn't what it became to be.
And when asked if Rihanna knew about her, Karrueche stated that she wasn't sure, adding more confusion to an already complicated situation.
Did he tell her he was dealing with you? You don't know.
I don't know.
And when Chris and Rihanna eventually split up again, there were a lot of rumors going around that Karrueche had something to do with it. However, that was never confirmed. Sources believe that the real reason was that Rihanna wanted to settle down, but Chris wasn't showing any interest in that idea. In the years that followed, both Chris and Rihanna managed to move on with their lives, and luckily for their fans, they've remained cordial. Back when Rihanna performed at the 2023 Super Bowl, Chris showed support by posting "Go Girl" on his Instagram, and on top of that, there's even a video of him watching the performance, looking proud. And they both had very successful careers in music. But this isn't Rihanna's only tumultuous relationship, as she's also been infamously entangled with Drake. So how did that go down? Well, Drake and Rihanna first crossed paths back in 2005, but it wasn't until years later that Drake started publicly gushing about her in interviews. By 2010, he couldn't hold it in anymore. He was saying things like, "She's such an overwhelming and incredible person and such a talented person, and someone that I was like, I can't believe I'm talking to this individual. She made me feel small. She made me feel nervous." In one particular interview, Drake openly admitted Rihanna made him feel nervous.
It's very rare that I feel small around anybody, especially, a woman that I like. It's just, I am in a confident position right now.
And right off the bat, you could tell Drake was head over heels, but Rihanna, she just wasn't feeling him. See, by 2009, Rihanna's toxic relationship with Chris Brown had ended, and not long after, Page Six reported that she and Drake were spotted making out all night at a spot called Lucky Strike in New York. Now, while Rihanna apparently believed that her relationship with Drake was strictly platonic, Drake seemed to have other ideas. As it turns out, Drake felt that the kiss was more than a casual, friendly kiss, and it bothered him. So what did he do? He started to sneak diss her, as he later referenced this exact night in his song Fireworks, rapping, "I could tell it wasn't love, I just thought you'd f with me. Who could have predicted Lucky Strike would have you stuck with me? Damn, I kept my wits about me luckily. What happened between us that night, it always seems to trouble me." At one point, Drake even implied their connection went south because Rihanna believed he was using her for clout, rapping, "Now all of a sudden, those gossip rags want you to cover me, and you making it seem like it happened that way because of me." And just a year later, Drake would confirm that this song was inspired by his heartbreak from Rihanna, stating, "At the time it hurt, but she didn't mean to. I'll never put that on her. I was hurt because I started to slowly realize what it was. I guess I thought it was more. That was the first girl with any fame that paid me any mind." On top of that, Drake would even confess that Rihanna left him feeling used. In an interview with the New York Times, he stated, "I was a pawn. You know what she was doing to me? She was doing exactly what I've done to so many women throughout my life, which is show them a quality time that disappear." I was like, wow, this feels terrible. However, this didn't seem to bother Rihanna at all, because over the years, she and Drake would drop countless hits. Despite the mixed signals, Drake and Rihanna seemed to patch things up when they collabed on What's My Name in 2010. Fans went wild when they saw the duo in the music video full-on flirting in a grocery store and cuddling up in an apartment. And to further amplify the rumors, Drake would constantly shout out Rihanna during this time.
"We have a connection that's established for life, and that is that, I love her and support her unconditionally, and I like to think that she feels the same way."
And at that point, many fans believed that the feelings were finally mutual. Unfortunately, it wasn't that simple. You see, by June of 2012, things hit another boiling point when Drake and Chris Brown reportedly got into a club fight in New York over Rihanna. Witnesses said bottles were thrown, people were, can't say that word on YouTube, and the whole club turned chaotic. One witness described it like this.
As soon as I pressed play is when I think I caught a bottle coming by, going this way, and then a whole bunch of bottles coming back to this way, and then just mad commotion.
During the brawl, the witness recalled that one of Chris Brown's guards was caught in the middle.
Whoever was in the middle was pretty much getting beat up. That's when a big brawl broke out. I guess Chris Brown bodyguard, I guess that's who that was getting beat up, because somebody was getting beat up bad.
However, according to the witness, there's only one thing to blame, and it was alcohol.
Drake was drunk. Everybody was drunk. Liquor, and too much liquor in a celebrity plus somebody that they don't like is not a good thing. They human. They can consume no more liquor than we could consume. So
while Drake denied any involvement, witnesses confirmed both he and Chris Brown were at the scene, and that Drake felt guilty about everything that happened.
He looked as if he knew that he just made a big mistake, or he started something that he shouldn't have. He looked scared. That's one thing I can say. His facial expression was like.
See, this brawl was brutal. Injuries were so serious that some witnesses even admitted feeling faint at the sight of the.
Because it's so many people was hurt, bottles. People got. He probably felt guilty. I think that's how he felt.
Unfortunately for Rihanna, during that time, she was still in an on and off relationship with Chris Brown. In fact, Rihanna would even tell Oprah that Chris Brown was her true love, or the love of my life, meaning Drake was never really in the picture the way he hoped to be. So things were not looking good for Drake. You see, later that year, he won the Best Hip Hop Video at the MTV VMAs, and as expected, the crowd cheered and clapped. But you know who looked unamused? Rihanna. What shocked everyone was that when the camera panned to Rihanna, she didn't clap. Cameras caught her whispering something to her friend while everyone else celebrated. Of course, fans immediately took it as subtle shade, interpreting it as Rihanna really hating Drake at the moment. But what made this moment even juicier was when fans tried to decipher what Rihanna was whispering. Many believed that Rihanna was saying, "I hate these assholes," as Drake and his Young Money crew took the stage. But what happened? You see, the year before, the duo of Drake and Rihanna collaborated with Take Care. And as we all know, Take Care was a massive success for these two artists, peaking at number 9 on the Billboard Hot 100. On top of that, the music video didn't disappoint either. And by mid-July 2012, the song had already sold over 2 million digital copies, and it's safe to say that the music video didn't disappoint either. With over 472 million views, Drake and Rihanna were seeing the video in a very passionate way. Watching the video now, and with the way they acted in it, there was no way that nothing happened behind the scenes. See, almost half of the music video was them just being lovey-dovey with each other, like they were really together. But unfortunately for Drake, all of these were just for show. Feeling defeated, he still couldn't get over the fact that Rihanna had feelings for Chris Brown. So in typical Drake fashion, he decided to become petty and diss them publicly. So when asked about Chris Brown, he said this.
Don't ask me about that man when I come up there, you know what I mean? Yeah. And leave that man alone, Stop preying on his insecurities, man.
He explained that one of Chris Brown's insecurities was the fact that Rihanna fell in love with him, which, as we know, wasn't really the case.
Because, his insecurities are the fact that I make better music than him, that I'm more popping than him, and that at one point in life, the woman that he loves fell into my lap. I did what a real would do and treated her with respect.
But if he really wanted to get with Rihanna, dissing Chris Brown wasn't the best idea. Unfortunately for Rihanna, even if she kept denying that they were a thing,
And was there no truth to Drake?
No.
And you hung out a couple of times?
Yeah, a few times.
Did you play with the idea a little? Were you checking him out?
No.
I think you were checking him out. I think you were eyeballing the situation to see.
No, me and Drake, nah.
A little bit.
No, we weren't. We never, no.
Drake wouldn't stop sending the fans mixed signals. However, it didn't really help her case when she backed up on him like that. And the fact that there were actual photos of them holding hands in London. So it was totally normal to believe that the two were more than friends. But even then, it was really obvious that Drake was far more into it than Rihanna. See, Drake would say things like,
you know, she gives me inspiration, but it more comes in the form of, you know, like when we dance, she just presses up against me a little extra hard, you know. That's really my motivation to really do well.
He kept teasing his fans as if they were really an item.
It's got a lot of energy to it, for sure. It's a little bit of fire, you know, there's some things going on that stage, for sure.
And if those weren't mixed signals, Drake would even go as far as telling Ellen that they've dated. See, in an interview, they played a game where Ellen would preview a picture of a woman, and Drake would answer whether or not he dated her before or he was dating her now. And of course, since there were plenty of rumors set up by Drake, first question was Rihanna. So what did Drake say?
I just want to know more about you. So
Okay.
let's, the first one is, that's Rihanna.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, it's my turn now?
yeah,
to
your
talk?
turn.
Yeah, great girl. We had our moment, and you know, I mean, always support and have love for her, and yeah.
a little nervous. Okay.
However, even Drake was beginning to get confused about their relationship. You see, in a separate interview, he might have considered Rihanna as her dream girl, but he clarified that they weren't really together, saying, she's the ultimate fantasy. I mean, I think about it, like man, that would be good. We have fun together. She's cool and but we're just friends. That's my dog for life. I mean, compare this to the Ellen interview, you'd figure that the inconsistency was wild, almost like he was rewriting history. Fortunately for Drake, his luck was turning around. You see, even after the constant heartbreak and rejection, the two would still find time to collaborate with each other. Their 2016 hit, Work, reached #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart for 9 weeks, becoming Rihanna's 14th and Drake's second #1 single. However, that wasn't Drake's biggest win. You see, it felt like during the entire music video, Rihanna was twerking and grinding against Drake. And with over 1.4 billion streams, there's no question that fans were dying for them to be a couple. Sadly, Rihanna would shut down these rumors when she appeared as a guest on Ellen.
Want to be with right now?
I'm single right now, and it's not that I'm like, oh, pro single, yes. I hate men. I just think that I just have so much on my plate that I can't even find the time to entertain a steady relationship or anything serious.
But since Rihanna was the woman of his dreams, Drake kept on persisting, especially after hearing she was single, and even agreed to the possibility of touring together.
He's not touring with me.
Well, he should. He's on one of the songs. It would be so
totally
easy.
should. Maybe next time.
I like Drake.
I would love to go on tour with Drake, actually.
Yeah.
That's like, that has to happen.
Yeah, that does have to happen.
That same year, Drake decided to shoot his shot again when he presented Rihanna the Michael Jackson Video Vanguard Award at the MTV VMAs. However, he might have overdone it. See, it was meant to be a heartfelt speech, and he opened by reminiscing about the first time he and her met.
She's someone I've been in love with since I was 22 years old. She's one of my best friends in the world. All my adult life, I've looked up to her even though she's younger than me. She's a living, breathing legend in our industry.
And although the crowd cheered, Rihanna's body language told a different story. She dodged his kiss twice, and she was visibly uncomfortable. To top it off, Drake had bought her a billboard to congratulate her earlier that week, which unfortunately made things more awkward. Others, though, criticized Drake for making this huge career moment for Rihanna all about him and his feelings, with one saying he totally embarrassed her. It was a bad idea to have him deliver such an important award at such an important moment of her career. There were certainly more important people to do this for her. And you know what? The fans were right. Drake definitely embarrassed her that night, and Rihanna would confirm this. When asked about how she felt about Drake's VMA speech 2 years later, Rihanna didn't hold back. As she told Vogue, "The VMAs is such a fan-focused awards show, so having that energy around me and knowing people who received the award in the past made it feel like a big deal. Waiting through that speech was probably the most uncomfortable part. I don't like too many compliments, and unfortunately, something happened between the two over the years that passed, because according to Rihanna, we don't have a friendship now, but we're not enemies either. It is what it is." However, there's no denying that the two had a very complicated relationship. In fact, they even had a matching tattoo before. But was it really a matching tattoo? You see, Rihanna had a small shark tattoo inked on her ankle, which is her own personal choice. But then Drake decided to get the same tattoo on his forearm. Keep in mind that they didn't really get these tattoos at the same time, but that still didn't stop people from linking them together. Fast forward to 2021, and Rihanna was spotted with her now partner and father of her children, A$AP Rocky. However, fans quickly noticed something different. the shark tattoo on her ankle was gone and was replaced by a crown. While Rihanna never publicly explained the reason for the cover-up, it wasn't hard to connect the dots. I mean, if you look at the timing of it all, her new relationship with Rocky and her history of denying her relationship with Drake all pointed to her wanting to erase Drake from her life. And of course, Drake didn't take it well. As we all know, Drake's a little sensitive. So when he dropped a music video for the song What's Next, a lot of fans speculated that the whole music video was a dig at Rihanna. See, in that music video, he's walking around Toronto's Ripley's Aquarium, and for context, this was the exact place where he and Rihanna had once gone on a date. However, the symbolism didn't stop there. Remember the shark tattoo? Well, the music video included a floating camo shark while playing Baby Shark on tour. So right from the beginning, everyone knew that Drake did not approve of A$AP Rocky and Rihanna. See, Drake's jealousy hit new heights when Rihanna's relationship with A$AP Rocky became serious. He had once called her the love of his life, but by 2023, Rihanna was headlining the Super Bowl, and she revealed her second child with Rocky. What hurt even more for Drake was that he was the one who put Rocky on, and now he was living his dream.
I'm trying to earn the right to call myself A$AP Drizzy one day. When I met A$AP, like I've said in the interviews, this guy right here just right off the bat did one of the kindest things anybody's ever done. Like came to check me, brought me a bottle of Chris. I'm honored this man accepted. I'm just happy to be here, and I'm honored to be here, man.
And as we've seen countless times from Drake over the years, he'd clap back with sneak disses. Feeling heartbroken, many fans believe that Drake took subtle shots at the couple when he released For All the Dogs back in 2023. 3 songs in particular stood out: Fear of the Heights, Virginia Beach, and Another Late Night. And at first listen, you wouldn't be able to tell that there were some hidden disses in there. See, when fans analyzed it closely, Drake didn't just vent. He was bitter and he came off as insecure. On Fear of Heights, he directly addressed the perception that he was obsessed with Rihanna, rapping, "Why they make it sound like I'm still hung up on you? That can never be me. Gal can't run me. Better him than me. Better it's not me. I'm anti. Yeah, and was average with you. Yeah, I'm anti because I had it with you." And it didn't stop there. See, these bars didn't fool anyone. Fans picked up on the passive-aggressive nature of the lyrics. Even subtler digs included him spelling words in a way Rihanna often did, like gal with a Y, and mentioning the word anti, which was also one of the titles of Rihanna's albums. In Virginia Beach, Drake dropped one of his pettiest bars of all time, drawing conclusions like you got a Parsons degree or something. I could have treated you better. Now, this wasn't a random line. Rihanna holds an honorary degree from Parsons School of Design, a very prestigious school. Drake knew exactly what he was doing, name dropping something so specific that only she and her close followers could catch. Then, on Another Late Night, Drake switched it up and targeted Rocky, rapping, "I am pretty Flacco, bitch, did really get Rocky." Sadly, these subtle jabs came off as pathetic and embarrassing since Rihanna was clearly unaffected through it all. While Drake was still in his feelings, even almost a decade later, Rihanna continued to thrive that year. In 2023, she was looking unbothered by all the disses. In fact, she had even built a billion-dollar empire with Fenty Beauty, Savage X Fenty, and her other business ventures. On the other hand, to fans, Drake was still chasing the attention that she never gave. And no matter how many sneak disses he threw, Rihanna never cared. Although Rihanna was quiet throughout all of this, her partner wasn't gonna let the disrespect slide. You see, A$AP Rocky isn't one to back down, and when Future and Metro Boomin dropped We Still Don't Trust You, Rocky took shots at Drake on Show of Hands. He bragged about being with Rihanna, and just to stir the pot, claimed he hooked up with Sophie Brousseau, the mother of Drake's son, before Drake ever did. Rapping, "They swear their girl the baddest, I just bagged the worst one. They in their feelings over woman, what you heard or something? I smashed before you birthed son, Flacco hit it first son." It took some time, but Drake eventually responded in Family Matters, where he addressed it all, and basically confirmed Rocky's claim about Sophie, rapping, "Gas cause you hit my baby mama first, do the math, who was I hitting then?" Unfortunately for Drake, the damage had already been done at this point, and by February of 2024, Drake's obsession showed no signs of stopping. During one of his performances, Rihanna's hit Work started playing, but instead of singing the song, Drake paused and told the crowd this. Now, relationships in hip-hop don't always have to be based on love. One of the most notorious relationships in all of the music industry is probably the one that Marshall Mathers, aka Eminem, had with his mom, Debbie Nelson. You see, in 1999, the Slim Shady EP just dropped, which sold over 5 million copies in America alone, making it an instant classic in the eyes of many fans. Of course, the album was complete with your typical controversial Slim Shady bars. However, while mostly all of them were done for shock value, there were some pretty harrowing bars aimed at his own mother. More specifically, these bars from My Name where he rapped, "I just found out my mom does more dope than I do. Damn, I told her I'd grow up to be a famous rapper, make a record about doing and name it after her." While some chalked it up to Eminem doing Eminem things, Eminem felt otherwise, as he constantly spoke about how terrible of a mother she was to him growing up.
I got tired of getting up every morning and my mother would drive me to school. I would have to walk to school. So, like in the wintertime, it was cold, so I just would skip school, just didn't want to go.
And if you think that not driving your son to school doesn't warrant those types of lyrics, well, buckle up, because there are far more disturbing accusations from here on out. Because in 1999, Eminem added that she was guilty of stealing his paychecks, frequently kicking him out of the house, and popping pills and taking other drugs, which triggered mood swings. The messed up part is, Debbie never denied doing drugs. However, despite beefing with his own mother, Eminem's career continued to soar to greater heights as he became one of the best rappers to ever touch a mic. Though his relationship with his mother was in shambles, the same couldn't be said for his career, since his 2002 album titled The Eminem Show later surpassed 40 million units in global sales, remaining the best-selling hip-hop album in music history while going 12 times platinum. However, fans realized that the album had another diss aimed at his mother, where Eminem taunted her by rapping, "Look at me now, I bet you're probably sick of me now, ain't you mama? I'ma make you look so ridiculous now." This led to others thinking that Eminem had no respect for his own mother and was willing to air her dirty laundry out for clout. But he already knew that, so in the same song he added, "Now, I would never diss my own mama just to get recognition. Take a second to listen before you think this record is dissing," before putting the listeners in his perspective and walking them through the trauma that he experienced as a kid. But put yourself in my position. Just try and envision witnessing your mama popping prescription pills in the kitchen. And although he was apologetic to her in the chorus, Slim Shady wasn't done talking over him, because Eminem proceeded to accuse her of suffering through a mental illness that she strongly denied having, going through public housing system, victim of Munchausen syndrome. If you don't know, Munchausen syndrome refers to a mental health condition where someone tries to fake an illness to try and receive attention. But finally, the relationship got so bad that she took their battle to the legal stage after suing Eminem for $10 million. That's right, she took her own son to court and demanded to be compensated for M's lyrics. The suit alleged that he slandered her in multiple broadcasts and print interviews by suggesting she was drugs and was unstable.
He needs to quit, making attacks on me. I mean, you don't do this to your mom. And it is so hard.
Now, Debbie Mathers is talking publicly for the first time since her famous son skewered her in song. And she's fighting back both in court, filing a $10 million slander suit against him, and with her own music.
According to her, the issues and hate that stemmed from Eminem's disses was affecting her day-to-day life.
When you can't go to the mall for being spit on and being called, you disgusting pig, it's sad. Because people are passing judgment by listening to Marshall songs.
And this subject of Eminem's scorn is his own mother.
But you know what was the most absurd part? It's the fact that she went track for track against her own son, rapping on the microphone to try and deflect Eminem's bars.
Marshall, the past 2 years, something really went wrong.
In a new CD called Set the Record Straight, Debbie Mathers, more of a reader than a rapper, delivers a message to her golden-haired son.
Will the real Marshall Mathers please stand up and take responsibility for his actions?
So what did Eminem's side have to say about the lawsuit? Well, his lawyers came out and released the following statement.
Eminem's life is reflected in his music. Everything he has said can be verified as true. But despite her lawsuit against Eminem, his mom says she'll stand by him in spirit and in song.
I'm not sure what she meant by standing by him in spirit and in song when she's literally up against him in court. Of course, Eminem wasn't gonna let this type of disrespect slide, so he got in the booth and rapped. I just don't get it. Last year I was nobody, this year I'm selling records. According to him, people who feel entitled to success, most notably his mom, are now trying to tear him down despite never giving him support when he was still starting his rap career. Now everybody wants to come around like I owe him something. The F you want from me, $10 million, get the f out of here. But as entertaining as this feud was, it was hurting everyone around them, especially their family members. It got so bad that Eminem's grandmother sat down with an intervieer to beg him to stop.
So have you got a message for him in case he hears this interview?
Yes, I love him very much. It's hard to even talk. I'm behind him 100%. Do love him and wish he would call me. I miss Haley. I miss him. And God just bless him.
A year later, the nightmare finally came to an end, when the lawsuit was finally settled and reached a conclusion. Now, by that point, Eminem was making millions of dollars from his music. I was racking up accolades like nobody else in hip-hop. So obviously, it's safe to say that $10 million probably would have been a fair value for someone in his position, right? Well, here's the deal. The judges did decide that Eminem's mom was entitled to get the money, but not in the way that she thought. You see, instead of getting $10 to $11 million, she was only going to get $25,000 in reparations. Going from $10 million to 25 grand is absolutely wild. But wait, it gets much worse for her. According to the judge, he stated that $23,354 of that figure belonged to her attorney, Fred Gibson. That's right, her potential payout was reduced even further thanks to her shady attorney. So in the end, she took home a measly $1,600 for her troubles. Clearly outraged by this, she went from fighting Eminem to beefing with her lawyer. Mathers tried to fire Gibson and claimed that he had coerced her into taking the $25,000 settlement, but the judge ruled that Mathers had abandoned her legal standing to jockey for more money. Now, almost a decade passed by and the two had become estranged, but if there's one thing you need to know about Eminem, it's that he rarely lets bygones be bygones. So in his 2009 album titled Relapse, he rapped about Debbie once more on the track My Name Is, blaming her for his horrible upbringing. My mom loved and a lot of drugs. That's why I am like I am, because I'm like her, because my mom loved a lot of drugs. That's not all. He explained that he's this way because Debbie was his mom. That's why I'm on what I'm on, because I'm my mom. To make it worse, he accused her of putting illegal substances on his plate, which led him to having frequent stomach issues. was in everything. Food that I ate, the water that I drank, peas in my plate. She sprinkled just enough of it to season my steak. So every day, I'd have at least 3 stomach aches. Of course, fans ate it up and enjoyed Eminem airing out his mom on the song. For them, they wanted nothing more than to bring back the old and angry Slim Shady that they knew and loved. So the project went on to become the best-selling rap album of that year. It also went triple platinum and was a massive commercial success. By that point, she just released another book talking about their conditions and struggles growing up. She even showed support for the Relapse album and hyped her son's newest project up, writing, "I think it's overtime," Nelson said. He needs to shake the dust off and get out there. He can do anything. A mother knows when her son is in trouble, she writes in the book. It looked like the two were beginning to let bygones be bygones, according to her. She even tried to visit M's mansion to patch the relationship up. One night in August, my maternal instincts got the better of me. I drove to Marshall's mansion in the hopes of seeing him. As I got out of the car, I was shaking, but I knew that if we could sit down, just the two of us, for a proper chat, we could resolve our issues. However, despite his angry bars about her, time still heals all wounds. So 4 years later, Eminem dropped the Marshall Mathers LP 2, and to the surprise of literally nobody, the album made waves and did solid numbers once more. But what fans didn't expect was the inclusion of one specific track titled Headlights. Now, this track was about Debbie Nelson yet again. However, while fans put the track on wax, they waited to hear what messed up fact Eminem was about to say about his mother. However, much to their surprise, there were none. In fact, the track was the complete opposite of everything that M rapped about her so far. Headlights was a subversion of what others expected M to say when it came to Debbie. After apologizing her, he even said that he and his brother forgive her for her lapses and struggles to trying to raise him. But Ma, I forgive you, so does Nathan. Yo, all you did, all you said, you did your best to raise us both. Finally, it looked like he was ready to let go of the hate that he felt towards her. But regardless, I don't hate you, cause Ma, you're still beautiful to me, cause you're my mom. In an interview, M was asked by the host to talk about his relationship with his mother at the time.
Now we're gonna talk about some of your other records. One of my favorite is when we talk about your mom. Talk about that, because you have a different understanding for her after the things that you went through.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, one of the things that I said and that I realized is, I mean, at the end of the day, she's my mother, and I love her because she's my mother. I mean, even though we don't really speak, you know what I mean? She is my mother. I do love her, and I think I got a better understanding of what she was going through or what she may be going through. You know what I mean?
He went as far to say that he felt some type of compassion for her and everything that they went through.
Now that when I see myself and how I actually became, you know what I mean? I think there's a little compassion factor that goes with that. So.
When was the last time you talked?
It's probably been a couple of years, probably about 3, maybe 4 years, something like that.
Fortunately, although the two never really reconnected after everything that happened, Debbie slowly opened up and showed support for her rap legend's son. She even congratulated him after he was indicted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2022.
Marshall, I could not let this day go by without congratulating you on your induction to the Hall of Fame. I love you very much. I knew you'd get there, and it's been a long ride. I'm very, very proud of you. And also, I'm very proud of Haley Jade, my baby girl. And I want to tell you, Haley, a great job on your podcast. God bless you guys.
But despite that, they were still estranged, and in September of 2024, it was revealed that Debbie was diagnosed with advanced stage lung cancer and told that her condition was ultimately untreatable. She has a very limited amount of time. Sadly, her last few days were spent in hospitals and in other treatment centers, but her cancer was far too much for her to bear. Thanks to Eminem, she was able to get the most advanced treatment that money could buy, but it wasn't enough, because on the evening of December 2nd, 2024, Debbie Nelson passed away. And although Eminem did pay for everything, he allegedly never visited her, and after she passed away, he had nothing to say about the tragedy. But the specific lyric from M's Cleaning Out My Closet song from earlier did have a truly dark prediction. And Haley's getting so big now, you should see her, she's beautiful. But you'll never see her, she won't even be at your funeral. For some context, the Haley that Eminem was referring to was his daughter, Haley Mathers, and true enough, we can safely assume that neither he nor Haley were present for her funeral. See, Eminem's turbulent and troubled relationship with his mother, Debbie Nelson, wasn't the only controversial bond that he shared with a woman. He also had a plethora of other complications and controversies with his ex-wife, Kim Scott. Like Eminem, Kim was also a victim to Detroit's impoverished neighborhoods and had a less than stellar upbringing.
It was me and my sister and my mom. She was a single mother. We don't know our father. My mom was on welfare. She worked under the table at a bar. We were so poor that my sister and I had to shoplift just to get food when we were between the ages of 4 and 5.
Because of that, Eminem took her home with him and even asked Debbie if she could stay with them for a while. At first, she lied about her age, telling her that she was 15, when in reality, she was actually 13 years of age at the time. After discovering her lie, Debbie made sure that Kim and M always maintained a distance while living under their household. I was always sure Kim was tucked up on the couch outside my bedroom door every night. I did not want her sneaking upstairs to Marshall. However, the relationship between Eminem's mother and girlfriend deteriorated so much that Debbie banned Kim from their home. Debbie also claimed that Kim treated Eminem terribly, but the worse she treated him, the more he doted on her. And you know what better way to fix a toxic relationship? having a child together. That's right, while they were stricken with poverty and harsh living conditions, they made the decision to have Hailie Jade, M's only child. And you might think that having a newborn baby would quickly humble the two and cause them to mature rapidly, right? Well, unfortunately, that didn't happen, because life had more challenges to throw at the young couple. In one of Eminem's memoirs, he recalled how difficult their living situation was. There was even a time when a thief broke in and stole their TV and VCR. The suspect later came back to make a sandwich, as absurd as that might sound. He left the peanut butter jelly all the shit out and didn't steal nothing, but then he came back again and took everything but the couches and beds, the pillows, clothes, silverware, everything. So it wasn't exactly a fairy tale for the two. They also had no choice but to move back in with Debbie, but if it didn't work out the first time around, you could bet that it also wasn't going to a second time. According to Eminem, the situation was still far from ideal. My mother did a lot of dope and shit, a lot of pills, so she had mood swings. But it wasn't all bad for them, because by that point, Eminem's rap career was about to blow up to crazy heights. After Dr. Dre signed Eminem, nothing was going to be the same. The problems that the two consistently had, which were related to money, went by in a flash. In fact, the couple even tied the knot in 1999, which should have been the perfect start for their family, especially since they had their daughter to raise. That same year, Eminem released the controversial Slim Shady LP, which had a song titled 97 Bonnie and Clyde, referencing his tumultuous relationship with Kim Scott. In the song, he alluded to killing her and dumping her body in the ocean. Yeah, pretty disturbing story for a song, right? Well, one of Eminem's co-workers back when he used to serve food at a restaurant had this to say: "I told him it was morbid killing baby's mother. He told me, yeah, but it will get me somewhere someday." However, while their marriage was in shambles, M's career continued to skyrocket as he went on tour. But while he was garnering accolades and awards left and right, his relationship with Kim only got more shaky. Because in the summer of 2000, Eminem claimed he caught Kim kissing a man named John Guerra. He attacked him, which led to all charges, which he pled guilty for, receiving a sentence of 2 years probation. I'll be honest, being constantly aired out by your rap superstar husband in songs had to be a hard pill to swallow, especially when it came to rabid fans who constantly berated her every chance they got. Of course, Eminem himself added fuel to the fire after the Marshall Mathers LP, where he had a song titled Kim, which had lines of him admitting to being unfaithful towards her. "You really effed me, Kim. You really did a number on me. Never knew me cheating on you would come back to haunt me. But we was kids then, Kim. I was only 18. That was years ago. I thought we wiped the slate clean." Keep in mind that Eminem was performing these songs at shows, so you had hundreds of thousands of fans screaming and making fun of her name. It was too much for her to bear. In fact, she went to a really dark place mentally. So what did M do? Well, instead of mending their relationship, he requested a divorce. However, Kim wasn't going to take it lying down. She wanted to fight back, which she did by suing him for emotional distress over all the aggressive and disturbing songs he wrote about her. So that should conclude their story, right? Well, never say never, because 5 years later, fate brought the two back together in 2006 when they remarried and had an intimate celebration attended by close friends and family. Although some say second time's a charm, this wasn't the case for the two, because just 3 months after the couple remarried, Eminem filed for divorce. Even Eminem fans couldn't ignore how messed up it was for Eminem to say all those nasty lines, only to go back on his word and marry her again. And some were pretty vocal in speaking out about how messed up it was. It was extremely fucked, dissing her own wife in songs and it being globally known, and she got globally hated on for years. M can't really be defended for it. But then again, both of them treated each other terribly. M just managed to push it further. Thankfully, this marked the last time the two were linked together, as they both went their separate ways while raising their daughter. Next up, we have Saweetie and Quavo. Not so long ago, Saweetie and Quavo's relationship appeared to be the embodiment of modern day relationship goals. Unfortunately, behind closed doors lurked a dark side that no one could have predicted. So what happened between the two? Well, Saweetie and Quavo first crossed paths back in 2018 on the set of Quavo's music video for his track Work and Meet. While their chemistry was undeniable, things didn't get official until the fall of that year. That's when the Shade Room posted a picture of them together at New York Fashion Week, captioning it, #Saweetie and #Quavo, our newest little power couple on the block. Y'all here for this? We'd reached out to a source connected to the two and confirmed they're indeed dating. From that moment on, they made their love known to the world. Their relationship thrived under the spotlight, with both of them showering each other with extravagant gifts and showing public displays of affection. Quavo even teased marriage by sharing a photo of Saweetie catching the bouquet at her sister's wedding, captioning it, "Guess we next." And by 2020, Quavo and Saweetie still appeared to be going strong. Unfortunately, things started to go downhill just a year later. See, back in March of 2021, Saweetie shocked fans when she took to Twitter and publicly announced the end of her relationship, writing, "I'm single. I've endured too much betrayal and hurt behind the scenes for a false narrative to be circulating that degrades my character. Presents don't band-aid scars, and love isn't real when the intimacy is given to other women." Almost immediately, fans were confused about what had gone wrong between hip-hop's golden couple. See, everyone thought everything was going great. So what happened? Did Quavo cheat? Or was he abusive? Well, one person who wasted no time weighing in was none other than 50 Cent. He posted a photo of Quavo on Instagram with the caption, "You went where? And said what to who? Oh nah, you gotta call an Uber, lol." However, this only fueled speculation. Many fans believe 50 was referencing to an interview Saweetie had done with her ex-boyfriend, Justin Combs.
Always been in a relationship. Faithful. Cancer.
Cancer?
Yeah.
Ain't no other cancer than him. You cancer? Yeah. Why you cancer?
They just know how to treat you.
You bring the good sides out of you.
Okay. So when did you meet a Cancer in your life?
I think it's time to take a shot.
However, the main issue was when she had jokingly mentioned wanting to have a threesome.
So a threesome, right?
You put him through.
I put the right, ladies. But because he's doing everything right, I'm going to give him the honor of picking the next we gonna have with.
While some took this as a harmless comment, Quavo's supporters turned on Saweetie, accusing her of being unfaithful and disrespectful. Seizing the moment, Quavo added fuel to the fire, tweeting, "I'd love for you and disappointed you did all that. You were not the woman I thought you were. I wish you nothing but the best." However, Saweetie felt unbothered, and she simply replied, "Take care." And while social media debates raged, everything took a darker, more disturbing turn on March 30th of 2021. That was when the shocking footage from Saweetie's North Hollywood apartment complex showed Saweetie and Quavo in a violent physical altercation inside an elevator. However, what was even more surprising was that the incident happened a year before, which sparked doubts among their fans about how the couple really were behind the scenes. The video began with Saweetie attempting to with an orange suitcase in front of the elevator door. Quavo responded by grabbing her arm and into the elevator. In the struggle, Saweetie fell to the floor while Quavo took hold of the suitcase. During their elevator ride, Quavo knew that they were in trouble as he stared quickly into the elevator camera. But even after that, he just stood silently beside her. In fact, he didn't even bother helping her as she laid down on the floor. However, even with the security footage going around, fans were still split on who to side with. You see, while some defended Saweetie and labeled Quavo as abusive, others insisted that she did in fact initiate the fight. In fact, when the Shade Room first posted the video of the altercation, they didn't post the whole video. You see, during that time, clips that were going around on Twitter were cut off, with one user noting, "FYI, the link tweets cut off the first 2 seconds of the video where Saweetie is seen swinging at Quavo. See the TMZ link for the full video." Also worth keeping in mind, we don't know what happened before the video as it seems to start after their conflict had already began. Now, if you look at TMZ's video, you can see that Saweetie was clearly the one who had initiated the fight, and for months, the ex-couple stayed silent. However, the first one to break their silence was Saweetie in an interview with People magazine. She confirmed the elevator fight had happened a year before their breakup, and she insisted the fight wasn't even the main reason for their split, stating, "The unfortunate incident happened a year ago. While we have reconciled since then and moved past this particular disagreement, there are simply too many other hurdles to overcome in our relationship, and we have both since moved on. I kindly ask that everyone respect my privacy during this time." Quavo quickly followed up with a statement of his own, claiming, "We had an unfortunate situation almost a year ago, blah blah blah." More PR-trained responses. And whether you believe their statements or not, it looked like the two eventually moved on from this dark past. And over the years, it looked like Saweetie tried her best to move on. After her breakup with Quavo, she was linked with NBA player James Harden, Damian Idris, Jack Harlow, and Lil Baby. And although she never confirmed any of these rumors, she would later confirm her relationship with rapper YG in May of 2023. Now, everything should be good, right? Well, unfortunately for Saweetie, her name would be dragged again by her ex, Quavo, the following year. Amid the Quavo versus Chris Brown beef, Saweetie's name was mentioned in both their diss tracks to one another. For instance, on Quavo's track, Over Hope, he rapped, "I can take model girls and make her Saweetie, crackhead Michael Jackson, you better beat it." However, Saweetie didn't take this lightly, so she took to Twitter to expose Quavo by posting a screenshot of her inbox showing a message from him, writing, "Damn, we used to be mean as f to each other." On top of that, Saweetie then pettily captioned the post, "Hopefully the model he turns into me replies." On the other hand, Chris Brown responded to Quavo with the song Weakest Link. Here he claimed that he slept with Saweetie while she was dating Quavo, rapping, "You effed my ex-ho, that's cool. I don't give no Fs, cause I effed your ex when you were still with her. They say revenge is sweet, now think about that shit. Don't let that line go over your head, I might just sing about that." But Chris Brown wasn't done just yet. He'd even rapped about the ex-couple's elevator incident, rapping, "Stop talking about beating, you was beaten in the elevator. We seen the tapes, that's devastating. You doing bad, you a bitch, and your music trash." After both diss tracks dropped, Saweetie just responded by sending a warning post that she'd be getting back in the booth to rewrite lyrics in her song Nanny, writing on Twitter, "Let me go rewrite these Nanny verses." Unfortunately for Quavo and Saweetie, things would never be the same again, as there's just too much bad blood there, and Saweetie firmly denied any chance of reconciliation. However, that doesn't mean it wasn't hard for her. Looking back, she confessed that she was really hurt about the breakup.
Like last year was hard for me. Like I lost someone who I love. You know, when you think someone is your soulmate and you don't end up with them, it's hard. I was hurt. Like I really loved him.
But as we know how messy it got, it's no surprise that this toxic relationship has come to an end. Now, we're going to talk about one of the most disturbing relationships in music history, not just in hip-hop, but across the entire music industry as a whole. I'm talking, of course, about R. Kelly and Aaliyah. See, while Aaliyah had just made waves with her fittingly titled debut album, Age Ain't Nothing But a Number, in 1994, selling a staggering 6 million copies and going platinum as well, unfortunately, she soon made headlines for something far more sinister. Although her album was a smash hit, that didn't stop her from attracting all kinds of attention, which unfortunately included monsters like R. Kelly. And in the case of R. Kelly, he acted as a mentor to Aaliyah to the point of producing the debut album. Now, this should have already set off alarm bells for Aaliyah's parents and her uncle, who was their manager at the time. However, they were more than complicit in R. Kelly's disturbing romantic interest, since her uncle also spent time as Kelly's manager, so he acted as the bridge between the two. And on August 31st of 1994, R. Kelly got exactly what he wanted. as news broke out that R. Kelly and Aaliyah got married. However, it wasn't the marriage and the hidden relationship alone that caused frenzy and controversy in the news. Rather, it was because Aaliyah was too young to even get married. For some context, she was 15 years old at the time. Let that sink in for a minute. At that age, she was far too young to hang around the likes of R. Kelly, let alone marry him. However, R. Kelly still persevered and did exactly that. But how did he bypass state laws that would have deemed the marriage illegal? Well, he did so by lying about her age. He showed falsified papers saying that Aaliyah was 18 at the time. In reality, however, her age was actually falsified by R. Kelly. Not only that, in light of his recent arrest, the prosecutors also found out something even more disturbing, as he wanted to put a ring on her so much that he even paid money under the table to get it done. Kelly and others in the circle bribed a public official in Illinois to create a fake ID for Jane Doe number 1. And if the situation couldn't get any worse, what I'm about to tell you next is truly disgusting, because by that time, R. Kelly was a fully grown 27-year-old man. This even led to some rumors circling around that Aaliyah agreed to do this so she could allegedly get access to abortion clinics without telling her parents. Although the marriage was annulled shortly after, the shadow of R. Kelly followed Aaliyah up until her last breath. It's important to note that nobody really called him out for his heinous actions back in the 90s, because not only was he one of the biggest R&B artists at the time, Aaliyah was also making her mark as a superstar in the making. The fans and critics alike brushed it off and swept it under the rug. And despite earning many accolades and selling millions and millions of copies following her last few albums, Aaliyah tragically couldn't get the happy ending that she deserved. You see, on August 25th, 2001, we're allegedly preparing to tie the knot and settle down. But before that, Aaliyah and her crew went to the Bahamas to shoot a music video for Rock the Boat. But what they thought would just be a regular video shoot quickly turned grim. Initially, the shoot went smoothly. Too smoothly, in fact. So smoothly that they actually wrapped up shooting with a day left to spare. Unfortunately, Aaliyah and her crew were not keen on staying in the Bahamas more than needed, so a designated plane was sent to get them. This became a decision that they would regret for the remaining moments of their lives. After the plane arrived 2 hours later than scheduled, they were shocked to see it was a Cessna 402, which was way smaller than the plane they had came to the Bahamas on. For reference, the Cessna 402 only 6 to 9 people and was way more compact than the 404, which is the model they first flew on. Considering that there were 9 of them boarding the 402, you can just imagine how tight it was on the plane. However, the incident gets much more complicated. You see, a charter pilot claimed that he heard the crew got into a disagreement with the pilot before it took off, as the pilot told them that their collective weight was way too heavy for the craft. This meant that the warning signs had already presented themselves to the crew. But despite all the red flags, Aaliyah's crew insisted that it was urgent for them to be in Miami the very next day. And although the pilot was hesitant at first, he ended up relenting and agreed to send them home. And it just seemed like all the factors pointed towards tragedy, because another detail about this incident was that the weight of the passengers and their baggage weren't checked prior to boarding, as required by federal regulation. And that's not all, as experts later believed that the weight of the passengers and cargo wasn't evenly distributed. This decision proved to be disastrous for everyone on the plane, because when Cessna 402 finally took off, according to an eyewitness, they saw something straight out of a nightmare. The plane banked left and fell to the ground at a frightening speed. The crash took less than a minute. The plane only got to go up to about 200 feet or 60 meters before it crashed. And tragically, the worst thing that could happen did happen.
22-year-old rising star Aaliyah has been killed in a horrific plane crash.
In the aftermath of this horrific incident, not one person survived the impact. Aaliyah was of course among the immediate casualties, together with 5 others that passed away, while 3 passengers later succumbed to their injuries. Even the pilot, who argued that it was too dangerous to fly under those conditions, also passed away. And while there are many conspiracies about her passing, I'm not going to go over them. Now, finally, we have Biggie and Lil Kim. Before the world saw them as rap royalty, Biggie and Lil Kim were caught in a messy, dangerous love affair that shocked the hip-hop scene. But how did these two cross paths in the first place? Well, despite Lil Kim's toxic upbringing, she had raw talent that couldn't have been denied. And in 1993, when she was just 17 years old, her life changed forever after she randomly met a local drug dealer and up-and-coming rapper, the Notorious B.I.G. He heard her spitting bars on a Brooklyn street corner and was immediately impressed. He would later say that he had never seen a female rapper with such raw skill. That same night, he made her freestyle for him when she was coming home from work. From then on, their relationship quickly went from friendship to mentorship and eventually something more intimate. You see, Biggie wasn't just her mentor, he became her lover.
Was he the best lover you ever had?
I mean, obviously, I used to go crazy over him.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say he was the person I was like the most deeply in love with.
However, what made the situation even messier was that Biggie wasn't just seeing Kim, because only a year after meeting Kim, Biggie married singer Faith Evans. The two had met at a Bad Boy Records photo shoot and married after knowing each other for only 8 days. Biggie would later tell Vibe magazine that he fell fast and hard for Faith and was confident in his decision to marry her, even though it was entirely spontaneous, stating, "I married her after knowing her 8 days and I was happy. That was my baby. At the time, with us being so spontaneous, we did it backwards." However, while the public saw Faith and Biggie as hip-hop's new power couple, behind the scenes, Biggie was having affairs with both Lil Kim and another rising artist in Charlie Baltimore. Unfortunately, Faith didn't know that the two were sneaking around at the time. See, Faith and Kim were both signed to Bad Boy, and although Faith knew Kim and Biggie were close, she believed it was strictly professional.
I didn't know anything about them
for, this is probably at least a year and a half after, you know, we were together. So I didn't know anything about them. I didn't even think anything about them, to be quite honest.
Until one infamous night that changed everything. In her autobiography, Faith recounted a shocking incident. One night, she went to Biggie's hotel room, walked in, and caught him in bed with another woman, saying, "I got to Big's bedroom door, turned the knob, and went inside. As soon as I saw a small lump next to Biggie's large frame, I flew into rage, ran over to the side of the bed, and pulled back the covers. I grabbed some chick out of the bed and started her ass. At first, she didn't realize who it was, as they got into an altercation. However, in the middle of the scuffle, the woman's wig came off, revealing the signature short crop style that Lil' Kim was known for. Faith froze for a second, got a better look, and realized she was fighting Lil' Kim, who was completely and trying to cover herself with her hands. Evans would even embarrass Lil' Kim even more, stating, "At some point, the chick's wig came off in my hand. It was a short crop wig. I stopped throwing for a minute to get a good look at the chick it was Lil' Kim. She was completely yelling. But after all of that, Kim still loved Biggie. After all, without him, we wouldn't have ever heard her music." See, after hearing her freestyle for the first time, Biggie saw potential in the young rapper and brought her into the scene of Junior Mafia, the group he led under Bad Boy Records. However, Biggie not only mentored Kim, but he also helped her improve her rapping and writing skills. In 1996, she dropped her debut album, Hardcore, which debuted at number 11 on the Billboard 200 and eventually went double platinum. However, there was something going on behind the scenes. Unfortunately, while fans idolized them as a musical duo, their relationship behind closed doors was increasingly dark. In 2017, producer Jermaine Dupri told Drink Champs that he once saw Biggie threaten Lil' Kim during a studio session with Usher.
He couldn't really get her to do the rap. And me and Usher was just, we was there, young, watching what's going on, and Big pulled the strap out on her.
On Kim?
Yes.
Initially, everyone dismissed it as a wild rumor, but Kim herself later confirmed the incident in an interview with Ebro in the morning.
I don't see, it's not wrong with him telling the story. It's a part of history,
So you remember that day?
Of course I remember that day.
Kim admitted that the relationship was fiery and complicated.
It happened, and I mean, the story is not exactly how he said it, but it's very close to the truth. And we did have a very violent relationship.
She revealed that on that particular night, Biggie had come to the studio to check whether she was flirting with Jermaine, Usher, or any other men present. Things escalated quickly, and though she didn't go into explicit detail, Kim confirmed the threat did happen. Kim also accused Biggie of other disturbing behavior, including making advances towards her cousin, Letitia Crosby. Letitia reportedly asked Biggie for $400, and he allegedly suggested they sleep together in exchange for the money. When Kim found out, Biggie tried to downplay it by claiming he didn't know Letitia was her cousin. However, Jermaine Dupri wasn't the only one who spoke out about Biggie's abusive behavior. In fact, even Biggie's mom spoke out about it.
I saw my son, I saw a gentleman, but then I also saw a man that was not very nice. I never liked the way he treated Kim, for example.
On the other hand, as the years progressed, Lil' Kim was able to tell her side of the story about the physical and emotional pain Biggie inflicted on her.
Phone's on like this. I'm like, yeah, that. Boom! My headphones on like and we started fighting, and we tore the plaques off the wall and everything. And he choked me out in the elevator, so I passed out. And look.
Unfortunately for Kim, she was blinded by the love she had for him. But if you think that's wild, it turns out Biggie and Lil' Kim's relationship was far more complicated than everyone thought. You see, at one point during their relationship, Kim became pregnant with Biggie's child. But given the abusive and chaotic nature of their relationship, and the fact that Biggie was married to Faith Evans, Kim chose to have an abortion. Unfortunately though, it was a decision that haunted her. Yeah, I definitely was pregnant with Biggie's child. I don't know if I have regrets about not keeping it. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Then I think what would have happened with my career. I just don't know. Unfortunately, as we all know, Biggie was fatally in Los Angeles, and even though the relationship was toxic, it still shattered Kim. In an interview years later, Kim admitted that she still struggled with his death. Every anniversary, she said, brought deep sadness and depression, and for a long time, she couldn't bring herself to attend any memorial events in his honor as she still found it too painful. Sadly, in the aftermath of his death, Kim struggled with feelings of guilt, anger, and loss, and this depressive state influenced her music for years to come.
Biggie was the type of person to motivate you. He always wanted anyone to succeed.
Kim would continuously praise Biggie for what he did for her career. In fact, she'd even share producer credit with Biggie when she released their highly anticipated sophomore album, Notorious K.I.M., back in June of 2000.
Because this album is a very important album, and I just felt like during the making of this album, his spirit was all in me. I could feel it. I could feel him when I was writing, because sometimes the pen would be moving and I wouldn't even be moving it.
She also pointed out that her song, Hold On, was written about Biggie.
Hold On was written to him and about him, but it was also written to uplift women's spirits. Like, there are a lot of single parent mothers out there who feel like, they have no one because maybe their boyfriend or their husband was
See, even years after Biggie's passing, she was still hurting.
Biggie was everything to me at that time, and you know, there was a lot of things that I told myself, you know, when he was alive. Things like, you know, I wouldn't be able to make it without him, or I couldn't live without him.
But Kim wasn't the only one grieving. Faith Evans, who was still married to Biggie and raising their child, was also devastated. Over time, the two women who had once fought in hotel rooms and thrown hands over the same man, in an interview on The Hollywood Shuffle, Faith Evans said,
I mean, my issues with Kim really went out the window when Big passed, to be quite honest.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But I mean, it's something that people always kind of talk about, but I mean, it's certainly non-existent.
She also added that time really helped the relationship.
But thankfully, she's now in a different place where she can really kind of receive how I, you know, was already feeling.
Being comfortable.
You know, it's all good. You know, it's all good. She's in a different place. She's a mom. We're grown.
On top of that, in 2017, Lil' Kim and Faith even collaborated on a song, Loving You for Life, for Biggie's posthumous album, The King and I.
And actually, she's on The King and I.
Yeah, I saw her on the list.
That's a blessing that I was able to finally work with her, because it's something I've wanted to do for a while, and I know our fans been waiting for it, and I never knew it would be on an album with me and Big. You know, how ironic.
Faith revealed that she always loved Kim, even when she discovered their affair. And I guess time heals all wounds, because today, Kim is now able to attend Biggie's tribute events, speaks about him on social media, and works to preserve his legacy.